everyone, welcome back to Poppin' with Alexa and Molly. I'm Molly.
And I'm Alexa, and this week we've got the giggles and the sneezes, apparently. Molly's turning her head away and sneezing. But more importantly, we've got the pop culture. We watched a couple of things this week, and I think we have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, and also 2024 is just turning out to be wild.
In all sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I saw, I forget what movie it was, but it's coming out in 2025 when we went to go see a movie earlier this week, and I was like, that's absurd. Like, that is actually horrific to me.
The 2025 is coming up.
Yeah.
But I just mean there's been so many, things that we're going to talk about today that I'm just like, this is 2024?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild.
Can I also say, it's been really popular. People are doing that thing where it's like, it's 2024, but I've loved you since. And some of them will be like, 15 years ago. But some of them it's like 2022, 2023. Yeah. And I'm happy for your love, but I'm also just like...
Yeah, try 2012. I don't know.
I've loved you since 1995. But anyways, so the first thing we watched this week is the Stanford Prison Experiment.
Yeah, there's a documentary on Hulu now about the Stanford Prison Experiment.
Yeah, we didn't just watch the tapes.
But this was actually really big for me because I have been very fascinated by the Stanford Prison Experiment for years.
You know, and I'm curious about that because I think there's a huge cultural fascination.
Yeah.
And what do you think it is for you that made you interested in it?
I think prison.
Yeah.
And so Matthew and I both have this thing where we love watching prison documentaries, or not love, but we're just fascinated by them.
Yeah.
And he came home while I was watching it. And he was like, "Oh, is this the Stanford Prison Experiment?" He was like, "Well, I don't love it, but I love it." I was like, "Yeah." So I saw the movie. They made a fictional movie about it in 2015. Mm-hmm. It had Ezra Miller.
Okay.
Thanks. And a few other people.
Wait, Ezra Miller?
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Ezra from Pretty Little Liars.
Okay,
which is a fictional character.
Pretty Little Liars.
Who that guy? Well, anyways.
Okay, so anyway, but I was gonna say, it's interesting because I guess when I was watching the movie, all those years ago, I never thought about them as real people. And then when I watched this documentary, I was like, oh, so Ezra Miller played the character, the guy that got out early, that had the mental breakdown, which we'll get into.
Doug?
But yeah. And so I was like, as I was watching the documentary, I'm like, I see how Ezra Miller played him now. I could see that's definitely his character. But I have always just been fascinated by it. And so I liked the movie. Like I said, Greg from Succession is in that movie.
I know. And when I texted you, you said Greg is in it. And I said Greg from Succession. And then I said, that's a stupid
it's the
question.
only Greg we know.
We don't know any other Gregs. We don't even really know him.
No,
but
friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Greg from Succession.
But it's wild that he's in it, I guess, because it's he was he was one of the guards, so he was really vicious, and it's just funny that it's Greg.
The thing is, what's the character? Nicholas Hoult?
Braun.
Nicholas Braun. Nicholas Hoult is the guy from a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
Anyways, I could see that for him. He's a very he always plays almost this little doofus kind of role.
Yeah.
But he does have kind of
a psychotic way,
dark intelligence to him.
Yes.
That I think is interesting. Even in Sky High, he kind of had. I think he was the guy who turned into a puddle.
I actually don't remember Sky High. I know he's in it, but I don't remember that movie. You don't have to look it up. You don't have to look it up. No, it's okay.
Too late. Yeah, here he is. You don't, because the thing is, you have to see it. Because look at him.
Oh, Freddie's really blonde.
He's blonde.
That's crazy. Imagine that being he's nominated for Emmys for a HBO show later.
I mean, I feel like that's how all these Disney characters are.
Not all of them.
I mean, I don't know. Look at Zendaya. Or was she Nickelodeon or Disney? She was Disney.
Who's Zendaya? Yes, yeah. She was on Shake It Up. Which, have you ever seen clips from that show of her dancing? It is the funniest thing. I love Zendaya so much, but she is actually one of the cringiest people I have ever seen. Just even now, when sometimes she'll be in interviews, there's you're gonna see this, but there's an interview with her and Tom Holland. And it's it's from a few years ago, but she does this thing where she goes,
oh yeah,
the
finger guns.
Yeah, it's so funny. funny.
I have this one interview I watch of her, though, all the time. I think she's on, like, Jimmy Fallon or something like that, where she's like, this is how I walk normally. And she's like, this is my red carpet walk. And it's, like, a kind of, like, draped shoulder behind her. And I'm like, damn.
No, she's either, like, so, like, powerful, like, badass, or she's just, like, so awkward. It's so funny. We were talking about the Stanford Prison Experiment, though.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't know how we got on this.
We were talking about Nicholas Braun. So it's interesting because I think, like, the Stanford Prison Experiment is fascinating to people. Like, I've been interested in it because I think the idea that they always, like, put forth that it's like, oh, it shows how people can be inherently evil. Mm-hmm. You put them in these situations, and if they're in a position of power, like, they will take advantage of that power. But I think, like, the documentary kind of really maybe shattered that illusion a little bit. And there's going to be, like, some spoilers. But it's also...
But it's a real life
Yeah, it's a real
thing,
life event. I recommend the documentary. It's 3 parts. I think each one is an hour.
3 episodes. Yeah. Well, they're about 40 minutes.
Yeah. So, and I think they did it really well, where, like, the first episode is, like, they're kind of going through, like, how did all these, like, you know, kids in, I think it was 1975, get involved in the experiment. And then the second episode is kind of, like, where they talk about, like, all the issues that happened of why this experiment maybe should be debunked or etc. And then the third one kind of gets into... How would you describe the third one?
So the third one gets into the fact that they're filming because this, like, threw me off halfway through the show, but they're basically... We can get into this later, I guess. I don't want to, like, say too much too soon, but... they're reenacting the prison experiment. So it's like they're filming... or they're reenacting a new one. And so they have the actual people who were involved, who are being interviewed this whole time. They're now, like, older, obviously. They're all meeting for the first time again, like, years later. So that's, like, what the third episode is about. I felt like the first episode, it was interesting. I felt like it got into it so quickly. I was like, oh, you're not going to give, like, any background? It's almost like they kind of go backwards. It's like they give the background in, like, the second episode, I would say. But the first episode, I think, was interesting because it gave background as to why these people would get involved in an experiment. And so it was because they all, like, hated the law.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, it's like Vietnam era. Like, they're not, like, hippies, but they're not hippies.
Yeah.
And also, like, most of them are like, it's just a summer job. It was 2 weeks. Yeah. It was $15 a day, which I don't know what that conversion rate.
It was $15 a day. But, like, to them, that was a lot. But it was only, like, 200 something.
Hang on.
I'm like, to go to prison for $200? It was kind of wild.
Let me see how much that is a day. So if it's 15...
It was 15 a day.
Yeah.
They said that.
No, but, like, in today's money. So it's $88 a day. So, like, if you're a college student, it's $88 a day. And, like, even one of them said, like, they basically thought they were just going to sit in a prison cell and, like, study their books, you know?
They were like, I'll give the chance to just, like, sit and do homework because, you know, most prisoners get books. Mm-hmm. They found out that was not the case.
Yeah. But what I thought was interesting, so, like, they talk about, they're like, no one, you know, people always talk about, like, the Stanford Prison Experiment, but they're like, no one really reached out to us very much. You know, no one really talked to us. But seeing, like, the videos of them, because they have it's only 6 hours of video footage from the 36-hour experiment.
So you find that out halfway through, though. That's kind of one, I guess, like, sort of a big thing is, like, you realize that they only filmed the guy that, what was the guy's name? It starts with a Z. Zimbardo
is the researcher.
Dr. Zimbardo. He's the researcher who, like, started this whole study. But he only filmed 6 hours of it. So some of the stuff that you're seeing throughout the episodes is, like, it's just the reenactors.
Yeah.
So it threw me off a little bit.
But I think it's interesting, like, the ones where it was kind of like the actual video and then seeing, like, you know, most of these people are in their, like, 70s now. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because, like, watching these, I don't want to say old men, but older men talk, I can see their, like, college selves in them alive.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like, it's sometimes when you see, like, 50 years pass, you're like, I can't believe that was that. But it's like, they all kind of, like, talk the same as they did when they were, like, 20, 21 years old.
I noticed that, too, yeah.
And it's just like, oh, like, it almost, even though you're looking at, like, maybe a 70-year-old man, it also felt like I was looking at a 20-year-old kid.
Well, it's also interesting to watch it, too, because some of the stuff that's, again, as, like, I watched the movie, and so the things that they focus on in the movie, like, in the documentary, they're like, yeah, that was their, like, they never mentioned the movie itself, which I thought was interesting, that they, again, like, yeah, these people were never reached out to, like, even when they made the fictional movie, they never, like, reached out to them. But anyway, one of the things was, like, Zimbardo decided to put a stop to it when his fiance told him,
his girlfriend
told him to, like, stop.
Yeah, it was like his girlfriend was also, I think, a social science researcher or something, and she came to visit him during the experiment. It was about 36 hours in, and she was like looking at the conditions they were living in, what they were doing to each other, and she was like, how can you sit here and watch this? Like, you have to put a stop to it. And he said that kind of brought him out of his like kind of researcher mentality, etc.
But the guys say like, they're like, yeah, that's his version, but that's probably not what it was. And I just thought that was interesting because in the movie, that's how it's portrayed. So
yeah, well, that's like the whole like, so they talk about basically because they never really like, even when Zimbardo does this whole media tour, and the thing is, it's like the Stanford Prison Experiment happened 50 years ago, and it's like every 10 years, like Zimbardo would come out and talk about it because of like certain things happening in the military or with like prison rights, etc. But they would always say, they're like, it's always his perception of what happened, his narrative, and I don't know how accurate it is.
Exactly. And also, did we explain what the Stanford Prison Experiment was? If
you don't know, basically what it was it 12?
They interviewed 12, or they interviewed
it was 24 college students total. I think it was
they chose
12 guards and 11 prisoners. And so they go into the experiment, and it's supposed to be like simulating prison. So to the point where like the people who get randomly selected as prisoners were arrested at their home and taken, and they were put in these cells that were just like in the basement of one of the school buildings. And it's supposed to see like, Zimbardo said we gave them no guidelines, just to see what happens when you put like good people in a position of power in almost like a bad situation. And
they had cameras set up to like film it. Here's my question though. They said that the guys were like, the guards were like, yeah, we got to go home at the end of the day though, and they had to stay. I was like, well, wait, how are they staying though? Like, who was watching them?
So it was like they were in shifts. So if there's 12 guards, it was like 6 and 6 or whatever. Which I do think like one of the things that didn't simulate prison life is like most prisons are like, okay, you get like a certain amount of time outside every day. It was like,
so it was almost like worse than prison.
Yeah, it was like these boys are not getting any time outside. Like they're literally trapped in windowless rooms all day.
And they said so when the guy was like, yeah, I thought I was gonna be able to like do homework and like read, like study or whatever, they didn't let him have anything. And he was like, in prison you get to read books. Like they didn't have anything. They just had to sit in like these rooms.
Yeah.
And it was very disturbing. But they basically just kind of like role played prison.
Yeah.
And so the guards, there was one guard that they called John Wayne because he was actually, which I don't think I knew this about John Wayne. Not that I know that much about John Wayne, but they talked about why they called him John Wayne was because the actor was actually for the Vietnam War.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He came out, at least in the documentary.
Yeah.
But he was like, so then, like, now everybody, like, hated John Wayne at that time, I guess. So they called this guard John Wayne because he was, like, super, like, he was the ruthless one. Like, he was the one who would, like, yell. Like, he would just be really dehumanizing to them. He would, like, humiliate them and make them do weird shit, like, sing and just whatever.
Can I say something controversial after you saying that?
Thought he was hot.
Yeah, because they do this scene the whole time. So he was kind of hot. He was, where it's like he's, like, smoking and the smoke kind of comes out and he's wearing, like, these, like, police, like,
and the
aviator. Yes. And I was just like, damn.
No, he was, But he was pretty attractive when he was older, too.
Yeah, so they show him older, and he's like a nice...
Kind of, but did you notice that he almost, like... So, okay, one of the things was that I would say the main character of the documentary was a guy named Doug, right? Doug something.
Doug is the one, I think, who got sent home.
Right, but I kind of thought he was the one who was, like, interviewed the most. Yeah. So I sort of felt like he was the main character. He was the one who so he ended up, like... He claims he was faking it. I think he was real. But he said he was like, he had like a mental breakdown halfway through because they threw him in like a room, like the hole or whatever.
Yeah.
And he freaked out. He was like, because the whole rule was like, you couldn't get out of this experiment unless you had like an illness. Right. So he tried to he claims that he was like faking a mental breakdown to get out of it early.
Well, he tried to say, he was like, oh, I have an upset tummy, which made me laugh every time he said that. So he went to Zimbardo, and Zimbardo was like,
we basically, don't send you home for an upset tummy.
Yeah, we're not going to send you home for that. And he said that's when he realized, oh, I can't get out of this experiment.
Yeah, so he started
and that's also where like some of the controversial things come in because Zimbardo, he's like interviewed later on, says he's like, all they had to do was get out of the experiment, was to say, I want out of the experiment. And then, like, Doug and, like, the others were like, that's not true. Like, we tried to get out, and we weren't able to.
Yeah, exactly. And so the guy, Doug, was like freaking out, having a mental breakdown. And it was funny because the John Wayne guard, like when he's being interviewed later, he was like, yeah, the guy was a wimp. Like he was like, the stuff we were doing to them is no worse than like what a frat does. And it just was funny because it was still like, you could see some of that still in him. Like
And I think that is very much like a conditioning thing because he talks about he had just like gone through rush for fraternity and it was like, he was like, they made him put like spicy sauce on like his genitals and like there was some other stuff and he was like, I think like some of that was in my mind about like, you know, being treated like that and probably wanting to treat someone else like that. But he said his whole thing was he was an actor. And so he was like, before I went in every day as a guard, I would kind of be like, okay, you are guard Dave. You are not Dave. Like you would get into character. And he was like, you know, he thought the whole part of this experiment was to be like, oh, let's prove that prisons are bad. He was like, so let's prove that prisons are bad. And I can see that, but Zimbardo would always argue that it was like them trying to rationalize their poor behavior, which I think maybe it's both. Like, I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, like, again, social science experiments are very interesting. Like, there's a really good episode on If Books Could Kill about, like, Freakonomics, and just, like, how, you know, like, that, like, swept the world, everyone loved it, and how basically all the stats and stuff that they're talking about are just, like, skewed. It's the way you present the information. It's also the way you present the study. So, and they say, they're like, you can't just have, like, you say it's, like, you know, 24 random baseline people. That's not how people work. If you wanted a baseline, use mice or something, you know? But he basically, it gets into, I forget, it's this French guy is trying to disprove, you know, that the Stanford Prison Experiment, like, had all these faults in it.
Yeah.
And one of the things he says is, like, you know, and the John Wayne character guy says this too. He's like, well, they told us basically what to say, that we needed to ramp it up, that we needed to make the conditions bad. And Zimbardo would always say, he's like, we never gave them any rules or any guidelines. And the present day French guy researcher, can't remember his name, was like, literally, I went through the archives. Here's a list of the rules that they had, where it would be like, you know, if they talk back, take their beds away, take their blankets away or whatever. And granted, like, they brought it to another level, but one of the guards was saying, you know, he was like, I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't really want to be a guard. And they brought him in. They were like, you have to be a tough guard. All the guards have to be a tough guard. And so I think it's like a misinstruction of the situation, but also like a product of the environment. You get a 20-year-old dude in a room and is like, hey, be an asshole. I'm sure a lot of them would actually be assholes.
Right. It was interesting. I thought, again, like, I'm a little tired of documentaries being put into series. Like, I'm kind of like, come on, is there ever just a documentary movie anymore? Because I did feel like the series didn't, like, I thought, like, by the third episode, I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But so in the third episode, they, like I said, they do the reenactments. They have, like, these actors who are, you know, portraying the experiment. And the real men are now meeting up for the first time in years, which was super awkward to watch. Like, I felt uncomfortable watching that. And then they were now, like, helping the actors. Yeah. And showing them what they really did. Which, again, like, I felt, like, weird. Like, watch. Yeah. I just was like, this is cringe.
I thought that was weird, too. I also thought it was crazy that it was the first time they had met since the experiment. Like, I feel like after that experiment.
When you bond over that. Yeah. Or never. I would probably never want to see them again. So it's funny because they're all talking and they literally said to, like, Doug, they were like, oh, you're the guy who had the mental breakdown, and he was like, yeah.
But also, it's interesting they talk about, they're like, you know, we did the experiment, they ended after 36 hours, we got paid, and then, like, we didn't think anything else of it, you know, like, we just went on with our lives. But then they talk about, like, the Attica prison riots happened, I think it was 2 weeks after the experiment ended, when Zimbardo was, like, starting to publish his like, findings, and of course that sent the Stanford Prison Experiment, like, through the roof. Like, everyone was like, well, look at this, like, study and research we have about prisons or whatever. Yeah. But I think it's interesting that they were like, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, history is made in, like, not the small moments, but a lot of people might not realize, like, this was a huge historical moment. They're like, I don't know, we went through that thing, it kind of sucked, and then we went on with our lives.
So I would be able to do that if I were one of the guards, but one of the prisoners, I feel like I'd be, like, traumatized.
Yeah, and, like, some of the things they did them, like, again, like, one guy, like, went on a hunger strike. He was brought in the middle of the trial after Doug got sent home, and they put him in the hole and he said he went on a hunger strike because he was pretty much immediately like, oh, I do not want to be in this. This is not...
At one point they handcuffed two of the guys together. I think Doug was one of them. They handcuffed them together naked. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, you couldn't walk away from that and just move on with your life. I'd be like, what did I just do?
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you know, even with the like the John Wayne character, I forget the guy's name, but they said they were like, a lot of the worst stuff he did was at night when he thought like the cameras weren't recording. So it just goes to show. But then they show him like he's in like this like British revival band, and there's this weird scene where it's like
a musician.
He has like a beautiful home, and he comes down his slide and he's trying to shoot a basketball into his pool.
Yeah, they
like
kept showing
3 or 4
pool.
times, and I think it was supposed to be like a juxtaposition of like, look at how silly this man is. And also look at how awful he can be.
I know. He was really rich.
Oh, yeah. Every time they showed his house, I was like, damn. Honestly, most of the houses they showed of those guys.
Yeah, Doug's house was very nice, too.
It's just very interesting. Like, Doug was he definitely has, like, very strong personality. And Zimbardo was saying, he was like, well, Doug likes to curse a lot, and he likes to embellish.
They all said he was, like, weird, too. Which is why, like, if you know Ezra Miller, I was like, oh, yes, that was definitely the character he played. Because I like, remember his character being, like, really wild. Yeah. But... he was like definitely like the extroverted one.
Yeah, but it's like they're like, oh, it's 36 hours, so it wasn't even 2 days, and they're like,
isn't that wild? Yeah, that it was not even 2 days. I thought it was like, I thought it was a really long time, or like like at least a week or something.
Yeah, and like a whole other thing is Zimbardo would say like, oh, the guards were given no like formal training or whatever, and the researcher who like debunked it was like, okay, there's literally like video footage of the guards doing a training session beforehand. Yeah. So it's just things where it's like, there was this whole thing where they would say like Zimbardo was just like telling a media tale. Like he knew what to get media attention.
You could tell he was just like full of shit.
Oh yeah. And I think he was like it was inherently flawed. Mm-hmm. I think it brought up some interesting points, but I don't think it really proves anything about the human condition, the amount that we think it does, and that it keeps getting like to the point where I forget the case, but it was like, the Iraqi soldiers, American soldiers, I think in Iraq, where they were abusing prisoners, and he defended the soldiers based on the results from the Stanford Prison Experiment, like basically using that as like, hey, this situation creates this. Yeah. Whether he's right or not, it's like you can't use that experiment to prove anything. Right. You've fucked it up essentially from the get-go. Yeah. Like the data is unusable.
Yeah. It was definitely really interesting. I would recommend it, especially if you don't know a lot about the experiment. Yeah. But it was good.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I enjoyed it. I got through it pretty fast too in one day.
Yeah, I as soon as you were like, "Do you want to watch the Stanford Prison Experiment?" I'm not kidding. I sat down with my little, I sometimes eat soup for breakfast, which is like a whole thing about me. But anyways, and I watched all 3 episodes. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh,
I did too. I watched it all yesterday."
Okay, because I was like, oh, I finished it. Did you watch it? And you were like, no, I'm gonna start it. I was like, damn, I gotta get a life. Yeah, you did watch it
before me, and because like I said, I suggested it to you. I was like, what if we talked about this on the podcast? You were like already like halfway through it by the time I finished the sentence, and I was like, oh, I guess I need to watch it now.
Well, the thing is, like, first of all, I'm a big binge watcher. Like, I know. I will blow through a season so fast. But also, like, if people recommend things, especially if we're going to talk about it on the podcast, I'm just like, yeah, absolutely.
It also helps, like, when you're, like, because I was kind of recovering from the weekend. So I was just like, okay, everybody's gone. Like, I can just, like, watch, like, I had people staying over this weekend. And then when everybody left, I'm like, okay, I can watch this now. And I got through it really fast. And also, we got through that, like, right before we went to go see a movie together. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What day is today? Well, okay, we saw the movie yesterday.
Yes, today's Monday. Yeah. So this was all Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that was yesterday.
Yeah. I literally slept like 12 hours on Saturday.
No, this whole weekend I think I slept.
I don't even know why. I haven't been even doing anything with my life. It was a great weekend, though. Yeah, it was a good weekend for that. But, so in other news.
Oh, yes.
I know, like, this is Molly's Oscars. Just kidding. But not really. But yes,
your
eye roll. No. I'm like, take it back. But the Sexiest Man Alive was announced. I also realized that we like talked about our predictions for the Sexiest Man Alive on the last episode, which came out the day that it was announced.
Oh no!
So then I was like, oh
no, but it came out the day it was announced. But wasn't it even like, or no? Okay, whatever day we thought it was being announced, it wasn't even until like midnight that day. So I had to wait. Okay. Well, our predictions were like Pedro Pascal, Glenn Powell, but we knew it was going to be somebody like who was sort of not irrelevant, but just like why now? You know, like how it always is. And we were right.
Yeah. And it's always an old, like they're never going to put someone under 40 on that, I don't think.
Oh, that's true. But also like I was not mad. So John Krasinski was announced Sexiest Man Alive. It was a shock to me, but I also love John Krasinski, so I wasn't mad about it.
I do too, but here's the thing about John Krasinski. I think he's cute. You know, I don't think he's...
Oh, he's really hot now, though. Like,
yeah, for, like, the Jack Ryan, he got to get buff, but he still has just, like, a cute, endearing face.
I actually really love him. I feel like... So, people are furious. Like, people are so angry.
People get angry every year,
I know. And it's just like, okay... Yeah, like, okay, it's not Glenn Powell, but, like, it's... John Krasinski is he's very hot.
Glenn Powell will have his day, I promise you.
He will in 20 years.
Yeah, like...
When you're like, wait, when was the last time he was in something? Why now?
Yeah.
So, I was kind of like, okay, great. Like, I love John Krasinski. I love him in most things he's in. And I was not... surprised, or I was not surprised that they picked somebody like that, you know?
Okay, yeah.
But I was kind of just like, what? Why now? Like, again, they're so behind. I literally said People Magazine is literally the Instagram reels of pop culture, because they're, like, way too late on stuff. And you're just like, what? But I did find out, I think I've come to the realization of why they pick somebody random that I didn't think about. It's because it's not just like they're picking somebody and they pick someone. They do a whole cover story with them.
Yeah.
So the person has to agree to it, right?
Yeah. And usually I have noticed, I think like they usually have something going on. I forget what John Krasinski's thing is, but he has like a movie or show that's coming out where it's like, oh, this is also promoting that thing.
What is it? Because I didn't even know.
Oh, he's developing a new Jack Ryan feature film. That's what it is.
A new Jack Ryan feature film.
Have you watched Jack Ryan?
Is it a show?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
It just reminds me of like, what's that guy that you see at the bookstore? The Alex Cross novels.
Isn't that? Yeah. Isn't that what it's? Wait. Or no, Alex Cross. Never mind. Alex Cross is a different thing. Okay.
James Patterson.
Yes.
It reminds me of his novels where it's like he just has 1,000 spy novels out, and it's just like, what are these all doing?
Yeah, and I think like I never watch it because I don't care
about.
But I do love John Krasinski.
Yeah.
But I realized, so I came to the realization of why they do pick kind of random people. It's because the person has to agree to it.
Yeah.
I saw a thing, and I don't know how true it is. This is just complete gossip.
Love that.
Just between us girls. But I saw a thing where the first two like people they chose were Glenn Powell and Pedro Pascal, and they said no.
Glenn Powell would never say no to that. I know
I just
he
can't
does
see
seem
like
that
he
him.
would say yes.
Also,
he?
like I don't think Pedro Pascal would.
He would say no. I could see
think?
Pedro. Yeah, because I could see him being like. I feel like a lot of people look down on it and are like, "What? That's like whatever." But
also, I think like all the memes or whatever that were going around about what is it, Benny Blanco being sexy.
I know,
Sexiest Man Alive, and it was like. It was clearly like an online joke, and it's just like because people are just like he's so.
No, it wasn't. So I think what people are like stupid.
Yeah.
And they were not reading it fully, but because people just say things and don't actually like look into things before just putting it out there.
Me.
Well, no, I'm just no, not you. I wasn't.
But also me.
Wasn't calling you stupid.
I am.
But okay, Benny Blanco was like interviewed for it, like not for Sexiest Man Alive, but like for the whole like what do you call that? Like the whole spread.
Yeah.
And people took that as like he's Sexiest Man Alive. Meanwhile, like it's not being announced until November 12th or whatever. Like, but no one is reading.
Yeah.
And it was really making me angry.
I just think it's like, and everyone was like so upset about it because
everyone
thinks he's not attractive, which is like, I don't think he's ugly.
I mean, I'm not going to say he's ugly. I also don't think he's definitely not Sexiest Man Alive.
No.
And so everybody's like, Selena's paying for him. I'm like, he's not Sexiest Man Alive. Like, you guys are just dumb.
Just, like, imagine, like, that's going around and everyone's like, everyone gets up in arms about Sexiest Man Alive, but for the most part, you're like, I mean, I am hot. But, like, it's going around and people are just like, no, not him.
So people got really mad about John Krasinski. So that was one of the things where it's like 2024, like, what is this? Like, you know, like, because he won. But I'm just like, well, I think he's sexy. Like, well, it's not that crazy. Also, like, why are we suddenly against John Krasinski?
Yeah, people just have opinions on opinions. Also, whenever I think about John Krasinski, first of all, there's an interview with Emily Blunt where she talks about, like, their children. Excuse me, they're married, if you didn't know. They talk about their children and their accents, and she's like, they used to Wolfta, and she's like, and now they say, can I have some water? Yeah. Is how she says it. But I'm always like, imagine their family dinners where it's Emily Blunt, John
Krasinski.
Why was I going to say John Travolta? John Krasinski, Stanley Tucci.
I was going to say, yeah.
And then Stanley Tucci's wife, who is Emily Blunt's sister.
Yeah.
If you didn't know. And they actually have a very sweet story, but I'm just like, that's crazy. Especially, I would love for Stanley Tucci to cook me a meal.
I know. Imagine, like, their family. Yeah. I also think about that a lot with, like, did you know that, okay, so Ben Affleck's brother is Casey Affleck, right?
Yep.
Casey Affleck's wife is Joaquin Phoenix's sister. So imagine being Casey Affleck's kids. Your uncle is Ben Affleck. Your other uncle is Joaquin Phoenix. Your aunt at some point was J-Lo. Like, and Jennifer Gardner. Like, that is a wild family.
But the thing is, I feel like if you're born into... Well, wild also because Casey Affleck has, like...
And also that.
Yeah, that other problematic thing. But I feel like with those families, you're born into it and you're just kind of like, this is my life, you know? Like...
Yeah, I know. They probably don't care, but I just like...
It would be crazy to be born into that level of nepotism because I feel like you could meet the most famous person in the world and you'd still just be like, well...
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
I always think, like, 'cause celebrities will always say, like, oh, yeah, my kids don't care that I'm, like, doing this movie. I'm like, I would care.
Yeah.
I would be all... My favorite... Okay, the only time I've ever seen it, like, where I'm like, that would be me, is Sofia Coppola's daughter. What's her name? She's on TikTok. She's so pretty.
Was she the one that got in trouble for the private jet?
Yes. She's so iconic. I literally love her. And she was on the set of
Romy Mars.
Romy. I was gonna say Remy. Romy. Close. She was on the set of Priscilla. There's a video of her on the set of Priscilla.
Yeah.
And she's like asking her mom if she can take a picture of her with Jacob Elordi. And her mom is like, I'll take a picture of you, like, with my camera. And she's like, or with the film camera. And she's like, can you take it with my phone? And she was like, no. And, like, she, like, does it. She's like, she just wants to, like, take a picture of Jacob Elordi. Like, she's, like, an actual fan. Like, I'm like, that would be me.
That's
the
funny.
Only time I've ever.
But it is crazy, like, those kids who don't care about, like, their famous parents. Because the thing is, like, I find a picture of my dad from 1975 or, like, my mom from the 80s. And I'm like, oh, my God. Yeah. So I can imagine if they were, like... famous actors, you know, where I'd just be like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But also maybe it is because they're not famous actors. They're just normal people.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was going to ask you, okay, the thing I looked up right before we, actually, I'm realizing now this is also problematic. Mm-hmm. Who do you think was the first People's Sexiest Man Alive in 1985?
Okay, I was going to ask for the year. 1985. Did it match up with the year, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, but it's problematic. Kids, is it surprising? Like, would I still think they're sexy?
No.
Really?
No.
No? Are they like famous?
They are very famous.
But like infamous?
I don't think there's anyone in America who doesn't know this person, but they also haven't been in a film in probably 15 years.
Because of like...
They got canceled before it was canceled.
Okay.
I'll give you, like, a couple guesses if you want.
It's not, like, Kevin Spacey.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
No one's...
Okay, before it was canceled.
Do you want me to just tell you?
No!
Okay.
I want to guess. Is it... have I seen them in things?
Yes.
What? Okay, but canceled before it was canceled. Mel Gibson?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson was people's first Sexiest Man Alive.
He was canceled before canceled was a thing.
Yeah. I was like... Like, I actually, when I looked this up right beforehand and I saw Mel Gibson, I always get that confused with Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Mel Brooks was in
And the thing that he said was, like, definitely not.
Yes, but I remember, like, Mel Brooks was in, like, a kid's movie or something. It was, like, a couple of years ago, and I saw, like, the poster outside the movie theater, and I said, what a crazy thing for him to come back on. And Chris was like...
people are the wrong people.
Yeah, I don't know people's names.
If I had to sum you up.
Chris was like, what do you mean? I was like, just, like, a cartoon after everything he said and did? He was like, what are you talking?
I don't know.
But anyways, yeah, so I think, like, so our question of the week, we didn't put out there for everyone because we forgot, but it's whatever, but we have it for ourselves, and we want you to ruminate on it. But I'm curious, who do you think is the sexiest cartoon, and I said quote unquote alive?
So, okay, I have like a couple different answers for this.
Okay.
Because it's going to sound creepy if I don't caveat this. So I'm
excited.
I need to like rephrase this. So as a kid, I was obsessed with the character TJ from Recess.
Like the backwards hat kid?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I used to love Recess. I like used to reenact it in my yard with none of my friends.
Were you Spinelli?
I guess
the same hair color.
Yeah.
I loved Recess. And so I
think I reenacted it as TJ now that I think about it. Okay, well. Which is uncomfortable, but
I loved TJ.
He was cute. He was confident.
And he was confident. That was the thing.
Short
so he
king.
was like the leader of the group.
Yeah. I don't know if you can call him a short king at like 10.
Because they were all,
Yeah, like they haven't grown.
I mean, compared to the others.
True. The other kids were like stretched out next to him.
Were...
Right?
Because they were like 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5th grade. Well,
I don't know if they were even 10.
The movie, they were in 5th grade, I think.
Yeah, so they were like 9?
They were like 9, yeah.
Yeah, Short King.
God, I loved that show so much. Anyway, I might rewatch it.
I want to rewatch it. Yeah, I would love to rewatch that.
So yeah, I love TJ, but okay, I'm not gonna call him like the sexiest cartoon character. So I guess like I would then say
because he's a child.
Yeah. So then
caveat that.
I guess I would then say Robin Hood.
Oh, that sexy little fox.
Sexy little fox.
With his little, he's got like, when he takes his hat off, he's got like a little like swoosh in his hair, and it's so cute. Oh, he is a hot little fox.
He is a hot little fox.
I think I already said mine to you, but I said, okay, one is a boy and one is a girl. Okay. So the first one is that dude from Atlantis.
Oh, yes.
Milo.
Yeah, Milo.
That sexy little nerd. He really does it for me.
I feel like a lot of people would agree with you on that.
Because the thing is, ever since I was a little girl, I knew that I loved when, like, men would push up their, like, sleeves, you know? Like, if they're wearing a button down. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember in 6th grade explicitly being excited for the 6th grade dance because I knew, like... I knew my crush would be there and he would have his sleeves pushed up because it's like you're like
and you're like, it's getting pretty hot in here, huh?
Yeah. At 11 years old, I'm just like, are those your forearms?
Yeah, forearms.
But anyways, that Milo from Atlantis can get
That's a good one. I think people would agree with you. I know people, if we ask, like, I know people are going to say Danny Phantom. So I wanted to say somebody different than that.
He was cute. Also, one, like, character that I would say had no business being as drawn as sexy as they were. Do you know who I'm going to say?
No, go ahead.
I've said this. Actually, this used to be my my icebreaker at work.
Yeah, I remember being asked that, like, my first week.
Yeah. You're just like, what did I join? Is Sarah Bellum, the mayor's assistant from...
Oh, yeah, but you can't see the top of her.
You don't need to.
Yeah,
like,
true.
her whole body is banging.
Do they just show her boobs and that's it?
It's her...
What is it? Oh, God.
Oh, my God. The way I caught that wine glass... Hell yeah. Okay, it's her boobs are like little triangles, but they show like all the way down to her feet. Like she wears those little...
So I just thought of 2 more characters.
Okay.
The professor.
Oh,
because he's just like, he's daddy. Like he's so nice. Like he's such a good dad.
He is, but he's so stupid that I like can't
But it's just
see
like
past that, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Also, Diego from Ice Age.
Oh.
His voice.
Yeah, okay. Also, hot take, Ron Stoppable.
No. Just kidding.
I think he was just cute. And I think it was because, like, him and Kim...
If I was going to pick a girl, I would say, what's her name? Shangor? What's her name?
From Kim Possible?
What's her name?
Shangor? Hang on, I gotta look it up. Hang on.
You know it.
I do know. Hang on. Oh, Shigo. Oh, yes, because I was going to dress as her. I thought you meant the, like, mean, popular girl. Bonnie. That was her name. with the
Bonnie.
She had a like not bowl cut. What do you call it? Bob.
I don't remember her.
Sorry,
I called her Shangor. I meant Shigo.
Yeah, I know. Well, because Chris, when I wanted to be Shigo and Draken for Halloween,
that would be such a good costume
it would
for
be.
you.
Chris said he didn't want to put blue all over his face, and he said, "I'll go as Wade." I said, "That's weird. We can't be Shigo and Wade."
You actually could, because one time, okay, so this, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was all I had.
Well, one time, do you remember when Matthew and I went as Pulp Fiction for Halloween?
That was our first Halloween together.
I know.
Oh.
But so I was Uma Thurman. He was supposed to be John Travolta.
Yeah.
But he didn't get a tie, the tie thing in time that would go with my costume. And so instead he dressed up as, for those who know Pulp Fiction, like he dressed up as Tim Roth's character who wears like a little, Hawaiian shirt, like an unbuttoned Hawaiian shirt, because obviously Matthew had that. And he showed up as that. I'm not joking. And I was so pissed. I was like, Matthew, this doesn't make sense. Our costumes don't make sense together. I'm not joking. You probably heard this. When we got there, more people recognized his costume than mine.
That's crazy. Even after I put the lipstick blood, you looked great in that wig.
Thank you.
I really want you to go
costume.
Brunette for like a hot second. Like you would.
I'll just wear the wig for like a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what happens.
I did love that costume, but I'm not kidding. Like multiple people, like obviously people knew who I was, but like multiple people were like, "Are you Tim Roth from Pulp Fiction?" Like people knew who he was supposed to be. I thought it was crazy.
The thing is, I'm not worried about people knowing who we are. I just think about like us being in a picture together, and it's like
no, but ours
we
were in a picture together, and it didn't make sense. And I guess that what I'm saying is people were still fans.
Okay, well I'm still gonna hold him to it.
All right.
But I think, should we have a wine break?
Yeah.
So tonight we're drinking Governor's White from the Williamsburg Winery. If you don't know, we live in Williamsburg, Virginia, and this is our winery,
and we are sponsored by Williamsburg Winery.
Sponsor us one day. Hopes and dreams. And that's why you guys should like, subscribe, rate, share with your friends, so that way we can get sponsors and we can stop living on these streets. Because that's always the goal, right?
We're out here.
I gotta pay my rent to my landlord, aka Chris.
That's the kind of night that we're having.
We're just talking about sexy cartoons and Molly's skirt pops
I think about
open.
Diego from Ice Age and my skirt.
I'm gonna be honest. I have to look up Diego from Ice Age because all I can think about is the squirrel.
It's a saber-toothed Scrat. We were just talking about Scrat at work today. We literally were just talking about Scrat at work today. That's why I know.
Love that little rat. Squirrel.
He's a squirrel.
What? He's not even a real creature anymore. He's an
squirrel.
Ice Age creature. He's like an ancient squirrel.
Well, he looked like a squirrel.
Yeah, he's like what squirrels come from.
What?
I don't know what the I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, sorry, what were you going to say?
Diego is a saber-toothed tiger, but...
Oh, yeah, he is hot. He's a hot tiger.
It's his voice that's hot.
And
so that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just Google him and be like, oh, yeah, he's hot. Like, you got to hear. You got to experience
I'm going to go on my soapbox because I feel like men can just name, like, cartoon women, quickly. Women have to name foxes and saber-toothed tigers because we're not out here because it's all, like, usually men drawing cartoons and they're not drawing hot enough men.
Exactly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we've got Cerebellum doesn't even have a face.
Or the other one
and we're out here imagining ourselves with tigers.
The fish from Finding Nemo. Because it's Willem Dafoe, but Willem Dafoe has a hot voice. The fish from Finding...
Which fish?
There's
a lot of
fish. I sat here and literally just said the fish from Finding Nemo as if you would just know who I'm talking about. The one with a scar on his face. The one who helps him get out of the tank. Yeah. It's Willem Dafoe.
Friend of the pod, Emily, my friend Emily, she always looks like this sexy fish.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's
from Shark Tale.
Shark Tale. She looks just like that sexy fish. I swear. She's a hot little number. Both the fish and the person.
Okay, but isn't Willem Dafoe's voice just like hot, kind of?
Yeah, it's interesting because he has almost like, it's not nasally, but it stops.
Okay, what's weird to me is it's like a New York accent, but I don't think he is from New York.
He's from like Sarasota, Florida or something.
I
don't know where he's from.
Or is he from New York? I don't remember. Anyway, that was a good question though.
Yeah.
It always starts a conversation, and I appreciate that about you.
I always be thinking of questions. That's the thing. Like,
so also, one of the questions you asked at work as an icebreaker was, what person would you want to die or
Assassinate.
something. Assassinate. Yeah, you asked us.
I should have been fired. This was me as a manager. I was like, icebreaker.
Who we want to assassinate.
But anyways, so the movie that we saw yesterday, that we both can't even remember that we saw yesterday, was the Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran and Culkin film.
Kieran. I'm just going to correct you off the top. At the top of the hour, I'm going to say Kieran.
God, what is wrong with my mouth?
So last week, we do have to put out an apology because... because we were talking about why were we talking about Aubrey Plaza? I guess My Old Ass.
Yeah, we were talking about My Old Ass,
which I've heard so many people talk about now.
I want to clarify, I know her name is Aubrey Plaza, and listening back to it, Chris was like listening to me edit, and he was like Alexa, it's Aubrey, and I was like, yeah, I know, and then I said Aubrey, and then I went back to saying Audrey.
That's the crazy thing, because I finally you asked me, you're like, it's Aubrey or Audrey, and I didn't even realize you were saying Audrey, and I just was like, oh, it's Aubrey, and you were like, oh, Aubrey. And then the rest of the episode, you say Audrey. And I didn't even notice.
Here's the thing. I realize I'm becoming more and more like my dad every day. And I think I told you when Rihanna did the Super Bowl like performance and she did like the makeup thing and he was like, oh, is that Brianna? Is she promoting her makeup line? And I made fun of him so much. I was like, Rihanna. And I'm like, look at me. Look at every day I'm becoming closer and closer to my dad. I look in the mirror every day, and it's like I just see my face morphing into him every day. Which is also why I was thinking about this the other day. It's crazy whenever you watch those movies where it's like you go back in time, and it's like, oh, I'm meeting my mom as a high schooler or whatever. Like Kieran.
Who?
No, her name is Shipka.
Oh, God.
Was in this movie called Thriller, where she goes back in time or whatever, and it's like her mom, like, you know, like they're basically strangers. I'm not kidding. If I went back to 1975 right now and my dad and I were just like at a popsicle stand and we turn and look at each other, there's no way he'd be like, you're a stranger. Like literally he'd look at me and be like, you have my face. You know what I mean? Like that's so crazy to me. Like I guess you could be like, oh, you're cousins, but like even like you and your mom.
Yeah, we would definitely.
You would look at each other and be like, something's happening here.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyways, so that's just things I think about. But anyways, the movie that we saw, it's called A Real Pain, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg.
Starring Jesse Eisenberg. And also starring Kieran Culkin. And it was honestly such a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked it.
And so the short description of it is mismatched cousins David and Benji tour Poland to honor their grandmother. Their adventure becomes complicated as old tensions resurface while exploring their family history. And I just, like, so basically, as you just heard in that description, like, their grandmother passes away. She is a Holocaust survivor, and she's left money in her will for Benji and David, played by Kieran, and, did I get it right? Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. And Jesse, to go to Poland to see where she's from. And Jesse's character schedules, like, it's basically like a Holocaust tour of Poland. And you just kind of like see the complications of their relationship while also like taking in the complexities of being on a Holocaust tour. Mm-hmm.
And it was some really good acting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure we talked about how much we love Kieran Culkin on this podcast, or at least I have. He is like truly such an amazing actor.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
I will say, and I think we talked about this though in the car on the way back because we drove together because we're friends. Anyways, but so one of the guy from the White Lotus, do you remember his name?
Will Sharp.
Will, is that his character's name or his?
I don't know his character's name.
He plays Will Sharp in White Lotus. Anyways.
No. Oh. The actor's name is Will Sharp.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what you're asking. I don't remember his character's name in White Lotus. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But I thought his character was so boring in The White Lotus. I didn't.
Yeah, he was. But he is a phenomenal actor.
He is.
In that. And I was like, you see Kieran and you see Jesse Eisenberg, and I think they're phenomenal actors.
But they are Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg.
Like they have their kind of, niche
their character that they always play.
Whereas like Will Sharp, it took me so long to recognize him because A, I didn't know he's British, and B, the character that he plays in this is so wildly different from the character in The White Lotus that it's just like, wow, like, he's a phenomenal actor.
Well, and so I was telling Alexa too, like, because he's in season 2 of The White Lotus, so he plays, for those who don't like know who we're talking about, he plays Aubrey Plaza's boyfriend. So he's the one that, like, there's that misunderstanding between the two of them. It's actually very frustrating. Like, I loved that season, but their dynamic was so frustrating to watch, but also great acting. But I also kind of was like, like, people were like people loved him and his acting in that show. And I was kind of like, I was fine. Like, I just didn't think, I don't know. But then then you see, like, how first of all, he's like a director. I think he usually actually makes movies.
Oh, interesting.
But he, like we said, he's British in real life, sounds totally different. It's just like, he's almost a different person. Yeah. You like now, so now I'm like, okay, he's actually an amazing actor. Because also I loved his character, because that's a really difficult character to play when you think about it. So
in this movie,
because he was the tour guide.
Yeah.
So he has like no connection to the Holocaust, yet he's still like somehow like he's like how you would really see. First of all, everybody in this movie, I felt like I was genuinely on this like tour. Like, these are people that you would really see in a tour, like, because it was a small tour group.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it felt very authentic. And he was the tour guide. He was very like, it's like he was so sympathetic and just so like calming, but also like it's like, so Kieran Culkin's character Benji gets like really irritated with him at one point, because he's just like, you have no, like, you're just stats, you're just saying stats, and like we need to like feel this, and like it's emotion, and like I just felt like you felt so sorry for him in that moment, like his reaction to that, because you could tell like after he went off on him, he was just like it's like he was still doing his job, but he felt so like defeated, kind of.
Yeah.
I just thought the acting in this movie was so phenomenal.
It was so good. And I think also like everyone in this little tour, there's like 5 or 6 of them. So they're all Jewish in some way, whether they were born Jewish or they've converted to Judaism. And there's a gentleman on there he's from Rwanda. Like, he literally says he's survived like the genocide in Rwanda, and he like converted to Judaism because it helped him to find a sense of peace or whatever. But I just think like that's very interesting to have that like different dynamic. But I also, so I think one thing that I think is interesting is, so I was reading this review in the New Yorker, which is actually an overall poor review of the film that I disagreed with, but I thought the journalist
96% on Rotten Tomatoes would disagree, but whatever.
His name is Richard Brody. He brought up a good point. He said a real pain depends artistically on the odd disproportion, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with my mouth, between what's shown and what's known, between the plain and fragmentary traces on screen and the enormity, both in horror and in scale, of what they signify. So he was talking about, there's a scene where they go to a concentration camp, and basically it's like, before they even show you anything, you're kind of like, the camera is facing the people and you're just like watching them look at something, you know? And so it's like this idea of viewing something through someone else's eyes. And it's the same thing with Benji and David's relationship, who they're Jesse Eisenberg and Karen Culkin. Is they don't do any flashbacks. They just you are just putting the pieces together based on the things that they've said. So it's like the horror of what's not shown. And there's this whole, I don't want to spoil it because I know it's like out in theaters, but there's this whole like emotional scene where, again, you're not getting any flashbacks, you're just getting like a depiction of what happened to these two characters. And it's the same thing, like, you don't get any flashbacks to the Holocaust. You get like there's like this scene, it's very simple, where they zoom in. It's like they've just started the tour. They zoom in on this like sculpture that's in like the town square, and it's about like the uprising or whatever, and they zoom in on like the expressions of the people in the sculptures. And again, it's like the things unseen. It's not real people, but it's like you can get those emotions and you can get those vibes on just like looking at that sculpture. Yeah. And I just think it's really interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how the premise of the, like, how the idea for the movie came about too, because Jesse Eisenberg was like, I guess, looking to, you know, make a movie, and he saw a thing that was like, it was a tour for a Holocaust, or a tour for a concentration camp, and then it was like, breakfast comes with it or whatever, like it was like meal provided, and he just thought that was just like so ridiculous. And so that's where he kind of like, that was how he decided on like the basis for this, like, not, it's, I wouldn't call it a buddy comedy at all, but like, because it's definitely a comedy drama, but they definitely go over that, where it's like kind of the idea of people being on like a train. They're literally taking a train throughout Poland, and they're eating nice meals, and it's just the way they sort of like, Kieran Culkin's character Benji, he definitely lets his emotions out, but he has like an issue with the way that they're the way they're, you know, the tour runs, and it was just very interesting.
And I think, like, you talked about this in the car, but, like, listening to people who have done, like, they've gone and visited, like, these concentration camps, etc., where people will say, like, you know, you think about them, you think it's going to be, like, gloomy or whatever, but actually, like, one of the weirdest things is, like, being there on a nice day.
Yeah, it's, like, sunny out.
Yeah, and, like, it's sunny, 75, and it's just, like, this is where thousands of people were slaughtered.
Well, because you even mentioned, like, you commented to me, like, during the movie, you're like, wow, Poland's actually really beautiful, and it was, like, literally as they were probably 2 minutes away from the concentration camp, and it's just such a weird, you know,
it's a weird juxtaposition. And also, like, the concentration camp that they go to, and this isn't like a spoiler because it's like literally history, I think it's in Ludlow, I think is what they call it, and he was saying it's like it's 2 miles from the city center. He's like, imagine just like going about your daily life and this is happening 2 miles from where you are. Like, that's crazy. But I think the relationship between David and Benji is very interesting, where, like, David is very, as you can imagine, if you've ever seen Jesse Eisenberg in a movie, it's very Jesse Eisenberg.
Very Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, very, like, OCD, Mark Zuckerberg, a little awkward, a little nerdy. And Benji is very, like, he's a little bit like Roman from Succession, and just, like, he's chaotic.
Yeah, but less aware. Like, like, I feel like I was thinking about it, it really wasn't actually a similar character, because I feel like Roman would, like, not like Benji, you know what I mean? Like, Roman would, because
I think the mischievousness.
Yeah, the mischievousness, the kind of, like, no filterness. But I think the thing about Benji was he was just, like, a very kind-hearted person. Like, he was one of those people, like, you could do anything in front of, and he'd be like, that's cool. Like, he was very, but the one thing I didn't like that I don't know was I appreciated that. I don't think it was, like, you were supposed to find it endearing, was just, like, how, because they comment on it, it's like, yes, he's like he's kind of charming, but at the same time, it's just like he's always making, it felt like between him and Jesse Eisenberg and their drama, it felt like they were making the whole tour about themselves. Yeah. Like, they were both having mental breakdowns at some point.
Yeah. And, like, they're so late to, like, almost everything. Okay. Like, I can't, there's a whole scene where it's like they miss their stop or whatever, and they are late to the next stop, and like, the rest of the people, they're like, we got your bags. They've been sitting there waiting on them.
Yeah, which, by the way, they didn't even know when they were going to get there. I don't think they called them or anything. Also, that was, like, maybe the 3rd time they were late. Yeah. They were late. They were the last ones to get to the hotel. They were the last ones to get to the hotel the next morning because, like, Jesse Eisenberg's character overslept. And the whole thing is, like, Jesse Eisenberg, like Alexis said, is very, like, he has OCD. He's very, like, in the beginning, they make it very clear that he's, like, very anxious about being on time, and, like, he's calling Kieran Culkin's character, like, a million times to be like, are you on your way to the airport, like, blah blah blah. And I was thinking, I'm like, for somebody who's like that, he was late the entire time. I'd be so stressed about how I
could not travel with that character. Like, I would just be like, I'm leaving you, goodbye, I'm gonna be on time.
Yeah.
I will say, and this is maybe a spoiler for the ending, but I won't, like, get in too much, but I feel like it was, like, a non-resolution ending. Like, there's no, like, change, really, I don't think, at the end, which I think is interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I don't mind those. Like, I find that, like, I know people hate that, but I kind of find it, like, I don't need that, because that's not how life is, you know? Like, life is gonna continue on, and I get, like, annoyed when people say, like, oh, I don't like how something ended because it didn't end, like, the way I wanted it to. It didn't have, like, and I'm like, yeah, but there's still life left. Like, that's not how anything is. Right. I like it open to interpretation.
Yeah, I do too, and I think, like, it does feel like a very realistic film, even in the way it's shot. Like, just, like, it's not slow moving, but it just goes with the flow, I think.
It also was the first time, apparently, that concentration camp ever lets people film there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because but it felt very authentic. Like, I felt like it's what would actually happen on a Holocaust tour. Yeah. Like, I felt like I was actually there, you know?
Yeah. And I have said, and when you came over, was playing the soundtrack from the film. It is
beautiful soundtrack.
It's just like a piano melodies like throughout that just make it feel very like artistic and kind of European and just like beautiful
and like whimsical, but also a little bit sad. Like I felt like it was like because that's how the movie is. It's like it's very funny. I was like laughing a lot during the movie, but it's also like pretty heartbreaking too.
Yeah,
and it was just so good. I was very moved by it, and I think it'll probably, hopefully at least, get some nominations.
I don't know if it
will. Golden Globes.
Yeah,
I am sure Kieran
so.
Culkin will. I feel like he
did a great job.
Yeah.
And I think it's like also an unsaid movie about like mental illness, because we talked about we're like with Kieran Culkin's character, say that 5 times fast, he clearly has some sort of undiagnosed like disorder going on.
Yeah, and it was actually to me, it was a pretty real representation of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
One, yeah.
Yeah. But
so, go see it. I think it's where I would definitely recommend it.
I highly recommend it. I think it would be a great movie also on like one of those, like a Sunday when it's kind of like abysmal outside and you're just like wearing your sweats and you're just like, I just want to like watch something.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, it's a fun, I feel like it'd be a fun movie to just stumble across where you're just like, this is a good movie.
I will say, like, it made me, I didn't like cry during it, but it didn't like make me emotional. Like I said, it was like moving to me.
Because I think it's moving on both fronts. I think it's moving on the fact that you're talking about the Holocaust, you're seeing these scenes, and it's moving when you are like taking the relationship between the two main characters into consideration.
And I liked the title of the movie too, because it's like a real pain. They first show it when they show Kieran Culkin's character.
Yeah.
And they ended on him as well. But you're supposed to think like he's the real pain or whatever, but it was like it's kind of two different meanings. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I really liked it. But so you watched also The Penguin.
I finished it, yeah.
Okay,
that was seriously one of the best shows like ever.
I got that
especially
vibe
for a
you,
spin-off show.
Because you've been talking about it a little bit as you've been watching it.
I was so into it. It's one of the like I was literally every Sunday so excited for it to come on that night.
And I will say, so you gave me the assignment last week to watch Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So I started watching Batman Begins. I still have like 40 minutes left, but there's something really inspiring about the Batman movies and like that whole universe that I think is like different from kind of like Marvel spin-offs or whatever, where maybe because it feels more realistic.
Yeah, well, Batman is my favorite superhero because, and I prefer Marvel over DC, but I actually think like Batman is my favorite superhero because it's so dark. That's the thing that I also loved about this show is Batman or DC is actually supposed to be very gritty and dark, and I feel like I don't think that even if it's Zack Snyder, like I don't think that all the Suicide Squad and all that stuff, I don't think it's good. I'm not.
It just feels,
I don't like those.
It feels like, so the thing with like Marvel is all the spin-offs and stuff feel like it has the same tone to it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I feel like if you look at the Batman movies versus Suicide Squad, it just feels like different tones.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if the Penguin...
So the Batman, like the one with Robert Pattinson, which the Penguin is a spin-off show of that movie, is like genuinely, I love the Batman. Like I think it is, and I love the Dark Knight movies. Do not get me wrong. I think those are probably the best superhero movies like ever made.
Yeah.
Again, even though I like Marvel more than DC, I still think like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies the best. But the Batman is also like up there for me because it's so gritty, it's so dark. And so the Penguin is also it was just like such a dark show, and it just really taps into like what DC is supposed to be. And so I'm really hoping that they stick with this universe now with DC, because I think if they do that, like DC will be in a good place.
This is an off-topic question. I don't even know if you know the answer. What does DC stand for?
Something Comics, right?
Detective Comics.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I did not know that. I had to Google specifically what does DC stand for, and then I put comics because we're like, well, it's just going to say District of Columbia.
I wonder if that's because, I mean, yeah, which feature Batman. So, I mean, I don't know if this is why it's called that, but the Batman with Robert Pattinson, Pattinson, is it really leans into like the detective Bruce Wayne.
Okay, and I'm curious because also I remember like that getting announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman, and then I feel like I didn't hear a lot about the movie, even though I think it got good reviews.
It did. To me, it's like, I mean, again, I think Christian Bale is the best Batman. I love the Christopher Nolan movies, but I think the Robert Pattinson Batman is like phenomenal.
Okay.
Again, it's probably one of my favorite movies. Like, I love it so much. So, so the Penguin is like, it's, again, I love when a spinoff is actually good. Yeah. And it was so good. I mean, Colin Farrell, the thing is, so Colin Farrell, unrecognizable as the Penguin, both like how he looks, obviously, and also his voice. Like, it's like have you seen the video where it's like they're doing his makeup to do it? Yeah. It's crazy. Well, one thing I loved, and I should have probably looked this up before, I don't know the makeup artist's name, but when they were doing press for the show, they actually had Colin Farrell and the makeup guy being interviewed, which is very like, that's not normal, and I love that, I don't know his name, but because to me, like, he has such a huge role in that character. Like, because a huge part of that, it's not just Colin Farrell's acting, it's also just, like, how he looks. Yeah. So. Is it Michael Marino? I don't know. I would have to look it up. But, what does he look like? Is he, like, kind of hot? Because he was pretty hot. Well, they just show pictures of Colin. Him. Yeah. That one. Oh, my God. He is so hot. He's so hot. So imagine, like, him and him sitting next to you. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that's, like, that's crazy. That is crazy. It's so crazy. And also his voice. Like, it's just... The thing is, it has to be so hard to act in that. Like, there's a picture where they're putting on, like, his nose and stuff. So they apparently would have to keep the set, like, at, like, 40 degrees every day because, like, his, like, suit and stuff was, like, so Which I can imagine. One of the reasons I hate Halloween costumes is one time when I was 9 years old, I had to be a witch, and my mom made me put on the rubber witch's nose. And, like, I was literally like, this is gross, but, like, it got, like, snotty and sweaty and stuff because it's, like, a rubber nose in your breathing orifice. Well, I'll tell you what's really disturbing is I think it's the second episode. I don't think it was the first one. But they show the Penguin, like, naked, basically. Oh. Yeah, because he's being, like, tortured, and they show him naked, and I saw an interview with Colin Farrell, and somebody asked him, like, oh, that must have been kind of like, because it's not really you naked, and he was like, no, it was actually so uncomfortable, like, I felt really weird. Yeah. Because, like, he wasn't naked, but, like, he had, like, apparently they've, like, made, like, a prosthetic penis for him, and, like, what? Yeah, I mean, they didn't show that, but, yeah, it was just, but anyway, it was so good, and the whole story, it felt like you were, like, first of all, I forgot I was watching a Batman show the whole time until the last episode. And I mean, I might mention spoilers. It's been out for a week now, but maybe I won't. But the last episode, they start to mention other Batman characters. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I'm like watching a Batman show. Yeah. I think like that's what a lot of people have said about the Penguin is it doesn't feel like a Why do they call him the Penguin though? Well, so... It's Carmine Falcone, right? No. He works for Carmine. He worked. Oh, okay. Carmine Falcone is dead at the beginning of the show because he died in the Batman. I didn't know that. He was killed. Wow, spoilers. But good for you for knowing who Carmine Falcone is. He's a big role in Batman Begins. Yeah, he is. And also, I feel like his name should be Carmine Falcone. So it might be, because I never... No, they say it. It is Falcone? Okay. Yeah, but it pisses me off because I'm like, that's not how... It's Falcone, yeah. Yeah. So but I get self-conscious. I'm like, am I saying it incorrectly? So he works for Carmine Falcone, and his name is Oswald. His mom is always like, Oswald! Like, first of all, his accent is so funny because he's like... It's not, if he's trying to say, like, it's not going to work, he says it's not going to work. Like, he has, like, the most ridiculous accent. It's a New Jersey accent. Gotham takes place in New Jersey. I was going to text you because when I was watching Batman Begins, they did, like, an aerial shot of the city, and I was like, this is New Jersey. But they never say that it's New Jersey. They never do. Batman... Until the Batman. Christian Bale Batman would not live in New Jersey. That's what I'm trying to say. Like... Yes, it's crazy to me that Bruce Wayne is from New Jersey. It's so stupid. We've talked about this before, but like I know, but it throws me off. Yeah, anyways. But then when you hear their accents and you see like the Penguin, so he's called the Penguin at least in this he was called it because he has like a deformed, he has like a deformity in his foot. Oh, okay. He has a club foot, and so he literally walks like a penguin, like he waddles. Oh. Sorry, it is kind of awe. Okay, so. That's the thing, because I'm gonna help you out. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. I forgot as I'm watching the show. I literally forgot that it was about a Batman villain because I'm like really connecting with the character. I loved him, and I mean, again, it's like it's Colin Farrell, but like I love. Like, I really connected with the characters. And then at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a Batman villain. He's pretty evil. Like, he's pretty evil. And so they obviously, I mean, I won't give spoilers, but they do make a connection to the Batman. So this will go into the Batman sequel. Like the second Batman.
Oh, I didn't know they were making a sequel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, like I said, I'm sure this is going to go on for a long time. They're going to probably make a season 2 of The Penguin, but this is setting up for the Batman sequel. So they're clearly setting up for it, and I am so ready for Batman to just fuck him up. Like, he was so, like, I don't want to give spoilers, but the Penguin is so bad. Like, he's so evil.
Interesting. Okay, maybe I'll watch it after I watch all the other Batman content.
No, it was so good.
Is there any other movies?
Cindy is watching it. Like, she's really into it.
So there's Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. Mm-hmm. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the
Christopher Nolan, yeah.
And then there's the Batman.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Batman movies, but
but like, I don't want to watch the old ones.
I agree.
I don't care.
I don't think
that much.
There's also the Ben Affleck Batman, but I don't.
Oh, what happened with that?
People love him. People
really.
I've heard so many people say that they think he is like the best Bruce Wayne, and I'm like, there is no possible way that's true.
I feel like I heard.
Well, it was Batman versus Superman, and I don't know. If Justice League is the other one I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah, he was given a short stick with that. You know, Batman versus Superman got like bad reviews.
So all of those movies to me are really shitty.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, if they stick with the dark, like they just couldn't seem to get it right. I mean, some people love them, but like I think with these, like if they stick with this universe, it is so dark and so gritty. I think they'll be good. Which,
like, also, like, speaking of Batman versus Superman, I'm just over Superman. Like, I just have no interest in Superman. And I think it's because he is portrayed as being kind of, like, a nice, like, little tight-wearing...
I do love Henry Cavill, but I don't care about Superman. And Superman was the worst movie I've ever seen. Like, I remember seeing it in theaters, and, like, I remember... It was, like, the worst experience of my life because it was just so awful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well.
Anyway, but The Penguin was seriously one of the best shows like I've seen in a long time. Like I was so into it.
Okay. Well, I'm happy for you. Maybe I'll give it a watch.
I think you should. Maybe that'll be my next assignment is make you watch The Batman because I do think you have to watch that first.
Okay. Your assignments for like the next 2 months.
It's just all Batman stuff.
Just Batman stuff. You are a big Batgirl.
I am a Batgirl. I have a Batgirl costume, so.
Really?
Yeah, I've been Batgirl before.
Oh, you should wear it like if we.
I might just wear it to the podcast one day. You're gonna be sitting across from me.
I would love that for a Halloween episode. We should if we start like recording. We just sit here in costumes. Well, things we could have done. Anyways, but you put on here about Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande for Wicked. I feel like we talk about something about Wicked every week. We talk about Wicked every week,
but I mean, okay, we'll soon be done. I'm seeing it this week. Super excited, but
no spoilers.
Yeah, these two. Have you seen their interviews? I just wanted to mention it because everybody's talking about it. I just thought it was kind of funny.
I have a theory.
Okay, well, let me just say before you say that your theory. They cry every interview. Literally, they get emotional during every single interview. And it's kind of funny. I think people like think it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's like they are theater. They're theater kids.
Yeah.
And theater kids get emotional over plays because it's like a huge bond and connection that you have with your cast members. And so I think that's why. But it is funny because like literally every single interview they're in, they just get, it's like here they go. They get like emotional over every question.
So do you think they're, like, genuinely friends?
They seem to be. They seem to have, like, yeah, I think so.
Because the thing is, you know how, like, all that stuff happened with Ariana and that guy that she's known for, like, stealing guys or whatever. Yes. And this was, like, when, like, before, like, this was, like, a year or so ago when they first started filming.
Yeah.
And it was, like, she started dating her
Ethan Slater.
He's a co-star in the film. He was married and had a newborn child, and he left them for Ariana Grande, and then all that stuff came out.
And she is known for, I'm just gonna say, she's known for like getting into relationships with people who are already in relationships.
Yeah,
like
I mean, she literally has a song like "Break Up with Your Girlfriend."
Yeah, I mean that's a little different context, but
yeah, but you know, and so I was like, all that stuff came out about her being like not a girl's girl, like people were upset about it, and then like. I'm like, I wonder if there's like maybe a little bit of PR stuff around like her and Cynthia Erivo's like so close of friendship, but also
so do you know Cynthia also did that?
Really?
With Lena Waithe.
Who is that?
You know her. She's from did you ever watch Master of None?
Yeah.
With Aziz Ansari?
Yeah.
She was in that. Just type in their names.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
maybe they bonded over.
Well, I don't know if they bonded over that, but I will say they seem to be close because they always get emotional when it's like questions about like their friendship or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's authentic. I do think it's a little dramatic.
Yeah. Well, also, so on that same vein, when I was wondering that, I was thinking about when all this stuff happened. Go listen to our previous episode of Cynthia Erivo freaking out over a fan poster where her face is like slightly hidden. And I'm just thinking, like, what was Ariana Grande thinking when she saw that?
She probably was like, thank God it's not on me this time.
Yeah, you know? Like, I
thought about that too, though.
But it's also maybe like when one of your friends has drama and you're just like, damn.
I could see her being super supportive.
Yeah. So I could see her being super supportive and in her head being like, I mean, well, it's
but Ariana
crazy.
Grande, I don't know. I'm not going to, because she has some stands. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to get into what I really think. I am a fan of Ariana Grande. Don't get me wrong. But I also think that we do not know her true, authentic self.
No, I don't think so. And I think I have become like a recent convert. I love her music and stuff, but then like when all the like stuff about, you know, her stealing people's boyfriends came out, I was kind of like, But then like I watched this compilation clips of her on SNL and I was like, wow, she's actually so genuinely very funny.
The thing is, first and foremost, she is a theater kid. Like she is. And so that's why she's really good at like, she's got great comedic timing. She's very funny. And she's just a performer. Also, I'm so happy that she's playing Glinda because I think she's actually a perfect Glinda. Like, I've been seeing a lot of people kind of shitting on the movie and like, you know, saying like, oh, the color is weird. Like, why does it look like that? Like they are going to be awful. Like, the songs don't sound like they should. And I'm like, you know what? I don't agree. I think that they're going to be good in their roles.
I think she is a perfect Glinda, but I also saw recently, I don't know if you saw, but Amanda Seyfried, whatever, she also auditioned for the role of Glinda, and I think she would have been, I actually think her younger would have been a really good Glinda. I don't know if she's at the, like, age now. What, you don't agree?
I do not.
Interesting, why?
I do not. I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off, including Matthew, who, like, loves, because the only musical Matthew has ever liked or cared about is Les Mis, and he loves Les Mis. He disagrees with me on this. He thinks she's a good singer. I actually do not think she's a good singer.
Oh, I've never heard her sing.
Oh, I thought that's what you were just saying.
No, I think like her as a person, like her.
Oh, did you see the video?
No, I didn't see the video.
Oh, okay. Well, I just don't. I love her. Like, I think she's great. I think she's a good actor. I love her in Mamma Mia. I think that's a fine role for her. I do not think she should have played Cosette. I don't think she has a good voice. I just don't. Like, she has this weird, like, vibrato that she does. People are going to disagree with me on that. But if she had played Glinda, no.
The thing is, I do think she is
genuinely, like, can hit the notes. Like, she is amazing. Like, I think Ariana Grande really was born to play this role. I can't imagine if a different character, but
I know, but that's whenever, I'm not kidding, the word wicked gets mentioned and that sound is triggered in my head every time. Every single time someone says the word wicked.
I feel like I've turned into like a theater kid in the last 5 minutes and I'm really sorry. I feel like I've gotten really like
Well, aren't you like a pseudo theater kid?
I am, but I just felt like I felt like something took over me and I felt like I was aggressive to everything you were saying.
Do you think we would have been friends in high school? Like, you're a theater kid, I'm an orchestra kid.
I think we would have been.
I think we would have been great in a sorority together.
I know.
Aww.
I've said this, well, yeah. I think, I was not a theater kid in high school. I was in chorus, but I was a theater kid, like, all growing up.
Okay.
Before high school. Anyway, I think, I don't know what I was going with that, but.
We start crying right now. We just do a Cynthia in our.
I felt like it was authentic. I can tell when people are actually crying and are emotional, but. Yeah, anyway, sorry. Okay, people are gonna get mad about Amanda Seyfried. I don't.
Is that how you say her name?
I don't know. I say it differently every time.
Okay. Seyfried. Is it envelope or envelope? Seyfried?
Seyfried, I hear a lot.
Okay.
I think it's Seyfried, but Amanda Seyfried. No, I don't know.
Also, I was thinking, like, her and Kieran Culkin are, like, literally made to be Pixar characters. Do you know what I mean? Like, they got the big ol' eyes and the expressive faces. Yeah. I would love just to Pixarify him.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's a word, but it is now.
I saw a video of the Nutcracker on YouTube, and it was like a movie, but it was like a movie of, like, it was the ballet. It wasn't just like a movie. And it was from like the 90s. Well, it would have had to have been like the 90s or 80s. I don't know. It was something I used to watch as a kid, so it was like super nostalgic. And I realized that the kid that played like halfway through, I was like, wait, that's Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, really?
The kid that played like the soldier, like the one that.
Oh, yeah. I think I know the version you're talking about.
It was so wild. I was like, that's Macaulay. I think it was Macaulay. Could have been any of them, I guess. But I think it was
like
Macaulay.
One of those names where it's like, I feel like you have to say his whole name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt weird saying Macaulay.
Like, I think that's Macaulay. Like, what do you think, like...
But you know what? As much as I love Kieran Culkin, I also love Rory Culkin. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I think...
We don't talk about him enough,
him
but
and
he's
Kieran
really good.
look more alike than, I think... They all look kind of alike, but Macaulay Culkin... Our boy Macaulay looks like the least like them, but they all have like kind of a similar facial shape, but interesting.
I don't know how we got on that topic, but
how do we ever get on any topic?
Yeah.
But for our final topic today, we have our good friend / my boyfriend, friend of the pod, Chris.
Oh, hello everyone.
You're our sports correspondent.
I am, yes.
And also music.
And music, yeah.
Yeah, when I heard that this was coming up on the episode, I figured that they would break the glass and bring me out. So I brought up a glass of wine because I'm very sophisticated now. I would never watch something like this again. I'll tell you that much right now.
Well, to say something like this, we should clarify. We're going to talk... we should give some sort of context.
No, we shouldn't.
No.
In case you missed it, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fought on, what was it, Saturday?
Yes.
Friday.
It was Friday. Yes,
God,
it was.
the days are just really lost in my mind.
There was also another fight on Saturday, but we will not talk about that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we actually won't talk about it.
This isn't the Poppin Man Pod.
And I will say, like, I don't really watch sports at all, but like,
honestly,
when Chris told me that this was happening, I was like, okay, I'll give it a watch.
Yes,
same. It was free.
I think it was free, and it like didn't work.
Yeah,
Netflix was not prepared for.
Molly said they couldn't watch it.
At first, it buffered at first, and everybody was having it buffered for like everybody at first.
Yeah.
We did not. Then we were just like, whatever, we'll just watch Mamma Mia instead. I had friends over. But for a minute, we almost
quite a
watched.
Transition.
Wait.
We did almost watch it.
Wait, so y'all didn't watch it?
No, but I watched the other fight, the fight that came on before.
Oh, that was a great fight. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh, like you? Okay. I was like, wow, you.
Alexa didn't like it.
The thing is, her whole like.
But I've seen obviously all the highlights.
Was ripped off almost.
Huh?
Her
what did you say?
Not eyelid, but like the.
Her? I'm not talking about them. Who are you talking about?
The fight that was right before it.
Oh, it's about the two guys that were fighting.
Like, see, we
these
missed.
were two girls.
Yeah, we didn't even.
Okay. See, I saw the first one, I guess.
We didn't even.
Two girls.
Yeah,
two girly pops.
Ma'am. I was gonna say, don't call them that. I'll tell you that right now. But no, it was it was plagued with streaming issues. It did buffer for us a lot.
Yeah.
Netflix really has to get their act together.
They should not ever do that again.
Well, unfortunately, they have a couple of other sports coming up soon, and they really, really, really can't afford to have buffering.
Was that their first big live event as far as like for sports? Because I know they've done comedy.
No.
But
Netflix is a joke.
Yeah, they've done live comedy, yeah, but...
Well, no, Chris Rock.
Oh.
Chris Rock special.
Oh,
the Chris Rock
Netflix
special
is a joke was like a...
That's like a festival, I believe.
That's a festival,
but it's not their first... So they did like a weird event last year. It was like an Formula 1 and golfing crossover event. And it was kind of entertaining from the clips that I saw, but I think that was their first sports one they did. Okay. But they're about to be doing a lot of sports, because you all may have heard that the NFL, they're doing 2 games on Christmas Day.
Oh yeah.
So you know, I think this got about 60 million on average.
Yeah.
Netflix claimed. So, you know, all these streaming services are really funny because they all kind of like, they don't really do the Nielsen thing. They just report their own numbers. Mm-hmm. So I don't really doubt the number because it is like Mike Tyson's got a weird appeal to people. And like, the reason that I was watching was not Jake Paul. I'll put it that way. I was watching it because Mike Tyson was fighting.
Yeah.
I don't really know Jake Paul. I don't really care about Jake Paul.
that's where I can come in.
Also, I was going to say earlier, we were talking about like people like former Disney stars, and I did not know this. Chris was the one who mentioned it, that he was on a show called Bizaardvark,
which
with Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, she was on that?
Yes, but Chris he had me Google it because he was like, I can't believe that kid is that man.
Yeah, so
no,
whatever.
I was just saying, like,
huge now. Like, that really threw me off.
Steroids, I'll say it.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely.
Also, that beard, gotta go. Sorry.
He's so ugly.
Yeah.
And I will say that about him because he, inside and out, he and his brother are the ugliest people.
Yeah.
I truly, their mother should be ashamed.
Wow.
No, there was a video of her, like, hugging Jake, and she was like, I'm gonna kill him, like, whatever. And I'm like, you raised two of the ugliest men on this planet.
She said she was gonna kill who?
Mike Tyson.
Oh, now see, that fight should have happened.
I know.
I feel like Miss Paul versus
Netflix
Mike
would
Tyson.
Do it.
I don't doubt it. I mean, they just did that. So the whole thing with the Paul brothers, as you know, unattractive apparently. But you know what they look like? Men. Because you know what men like? I guess that's what people like people to look like.
Do you guys know who Logan is, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen him fight before.
No, but like before they were fighting, because they're all the sudden fighters
he's
now.
the Suicide Forest
He's the
guy.
Suicide Forest.
And literally, that's what I know him
He's
as.
the unalived Forest.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, literally, like, that's just all I know him for.
They're absolute utter pieces of shit.
Yeah.
The two of them.
And
but now they're fighters. Like, it's so crazy.
One of them is kind of, but not really. So, like, you gotta, like, the thing with this is, like, Mike Tyson is the only notable boxer that Jake Paul has ever fought. And Mike Tyson also 58 years old.
Yeah.
So, like, this is not any kind of boxing. Like, they box a lot, but they box a lot of, like, athletes in other sports.
Yeah.
And, like, I think he boxed one of them boxed a YouTuber at some point, like another YouTuber. Like, I don't know. But it was very funny because I found myself in a weird situation where I think I told Alexa at some point, like, I feel like the future of toxic masculinity can be solved by the fist of Mike Tyson, which is a pretty insane, like, if you had told me that in, like, 2000, I would have been like, well, that seems impossible. How would he be on the opposite side of this? But yet here we were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he's just 58.
And the thing about watching this fight, also, I think I told you when it was going on, I was like, this feels very, like, Fahrenheit 451 dystopian, where it's just like, we're taking this, I don't want to say he's not an old man, but for boxing, he is ancient.
Yeah.
And throwing him in the ring with a 27-year-old, someone who's younger than us currently. Yeah.
I think that we can call, like, I don't really know what the demographics of your listeners are, but, like, he's not a young man.
No, and like the thing is, and the amount of people,
Jake? Yeah,
no, Mike Tyson.
Watched it, but also that we're in the arena. So this is what I bring up earlier. Chris asked me, so it was in the Dallas Cowboys stadium. He was like, "How many people do you think are in that stadium?"
They were showing like a panning shot of like the number of people, and I just asked her because I'm like, I know roughly how many people are probably there. What was your first answer?
I said 2,000.
I
said, and like immediately, like Chris, like not maybe a beat past, I saw the look on his face. I said 13,000. And then they later said it was 73,000 people.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
I would like to argue that like 13,000 and 73,000 people, they look the same.
I'm gonna okay, when I have to guess how much is in a jar, I can't. Like, I'm like 700. And
well,
it's like 2,000.
They do that at Chris's family things every year. I always guess 83, and it's like 270.
It's so humiliating.
I would say that the jar is a little different because I feel like the jar humbles everyone. Everyone gets humbled by the jar. It sounds like a Seinfeld bit, but like,
everyone gets humbled by the jar.
But I had to, exactly. I had to remind Alexa that like 2 weeks prior to this, we were in a dome watching a football game that seats 49,000 people.
That's a lot of
people. And we mentioned that it seated 49,000
people. In that
what?
You thought there were 800 people?
It
wasn't full.
At a Virginia. Look, it was more than 800 people.
There's always going to be more than 800 at a Tech game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
I don't know.
It was like
Syracuse. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm also math challenged.
Yes. Thank you. I also wanted to say, like, in terms of their ages, I can't remember if it was Rosie Perez or one of the other. It was definitely a female announcer who she was like...
Rosie Perez.
She was like, the thing is, it's embarrassing if Jake Paul loses to him.
I know.
It's also kind of embarrassing if he wins.
Him, yeah.
Like and I
because then it's like, okay, you beat like a 58-year-old man.
Yeah,
it's a no-win situation, and it really is like, so like there was a time in American history where boxing was the sport. Like it was baseball and boxing. It's not that it's ironic that both of them are what they are now, but like like it used to be like Mike Tyson is one of the most popular athletes in America still. That's the whole reason why last night even happened. 65 million people aren't tuning in to watch Jake Paul fight a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I'm watching because it's Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson is like a very complicated man, as you know, he's a convicted rapist. He's also like he has like a weird like Tiger Woods level of like everybody just loves Mike Tyson from like a sports perspective. Like everybody wants to see him succeed. Like even people that don't like him were like, oh, well, I want to see Mike Tyson knock this person out. Yeah. But he was also just really good at boxing. But not at 58.
Yeah. And so it's interesting, like, even watching it, like, again, I don't watch boxing, but I've watched, like, especially when the pandemic happened and that was the only thing going on, like, Chris was watching it and so I would watch it. I was like, this is the most boring fight I've ever seen. Like, not one interesting move or jab or anything happened during it.
Not during that one. I mean, but we watched an entertaining one right before. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, also the thing that when he slapped him in the face, before, like,
at the weigh-in.
The weigh-in, yeah. Also, when are we going to talk about the assless, or the ass chaps?
I didn't write it on here only because I figured that y'all would. Okay, so Alexa actually didn't see this when it happened.
Okay, Alexa.
So there was an interview. So Mike Tyson was being interviewed before the fight. Do you not know anything about this at all?
Alexa, you would die.
That's hilarious.
We have to put it on the TV after this.
Yeah. We'll pull it up. So before the fight, everybody does the pre-fight interview, and Mike Tyson was being interviewed. And after the interview, he like gave the person a hug because the interviewer was his son. And
I didn't know that.
And then Mike Tyson walked away.
He turned around.
And he's just like walking away, and that's just what you see. And it's just him
cheeks out.
Yeah, it's just him walking away. I'm gonna try to type in to Twitter Mike Tyson ass, but there's no telling what I'm going to get. Yeah. Which you would think that would be like a okay, here it is. Yeah. So it's literally like him like talking to his son. He said he predicts a vicious win. He kisses him on the cheek, and then he's walking away, and then
it's so funny.
They just show that. In. Yeah.
Why?
And also for his son to have to see that too.
I'm sure his son has seen something.
Well, Mike Tyson, and I think a lot of people came out of this like when coming into it, I was like, it's free. I want to watch Mike Tyson. You never know. Maybe there's a chance that he just knocks him out. Yeah. Because earlier in the pandemic, he fought like an exhibition fight against another old fighter, and he looked really good. Yeah. But he was also fighting another old fighter, and like I was COVID lockdown. Like I hadn't left the house in like 2 days, so I was like, wow, he could beat anybody. I was going delirious. But but like everybody wanted to see that. Like that was the entire draw of the fight. Was like maybe Mike Tyson can knock him out. But it was like immediately clear as he was walking out to the ring that he was not going to knock him out.
You could see the energy in his face. And I think I sent you, like, it's like he's being interviewed by like this young girl for like some school project or something like beforehand.
Like a little girl.
And she's like, what do you think your legacy will be? And he basically gave this like roundabout answer, like no energy in his voice. He's basically, well, I don't know. I'm going to be dead. So,
yeah.
Like, what is
like,
a legacy?
Like a
legacy?
Yeah, like a nihilist, like Mike Tyson. I love it.
And she was like, wow, no one's ever said that answer before.
Yeah.
But like, you could tell like he just had no energy, and like he definitely was just doing it probably because he needs the money.
He definitely needs the money. Like it is like Mike Tyson makes a lot of money, but he's never like he never made as much money as he should have in his career because the person that was promoting him, Don King, y'all probably seen a picture of him. He's like black dude with the gray hair and like wild hair. He took a lot of money from a lot of fighters that he promoted. Yeah. So like he never made as much money as he probably should have. He probably didn't do very well with the money that he had anyway. So like yes, it's very much a cash grab, and they said he made about $20 million probably.
Has there ever been a movie about Mike Tyson?
There was one in the 90s, but it wasn't It was
a TV movie.
Well, yeah, it was just weird because like he had just gotten out of prison and like it was weird and he like
his story wasn't ready to be told.
Well, yeah, like he wasn't done fighting.
Yeah.
like he was still champion. Like he had just gotten the title back. Like it just didn't make any sense.
I am very much a proponent of like we need to wait till people die to do a biopic of them.
That's true, because I also don't want them to be involved in the making of it, because sometimes I think that's like not.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, I mean, the one about Mike Tyson's life will be good because, as you can imagine, he did not live a great life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, growing up, very bad. Like his mom was kind of around. His dad, he never really knew who he was. One of his sisters died when he was like just starting, like when I think he first became champion. Like his sister that raised him like died of a heart attack, I think. So like, yeah, so like, you know, obviously, like you're not gonna see a lot of boxers that are just like, yeah, like I came from like middle class family.
There's
and,
some
like,
anger in there.
Yeah.
It's like I thought that I'd just, you know, go to college and like maybe I could box in college. Like no, like you're not getting a lot of that from the boxers.
But what I thought was interesting, and I don't know if you know this context, Molly, but Chris was telling me about how like basically the fight could only have been sanctioned in Texas.
That was one of the few places that would have sanctioned the fight. Like
I'll be honest, I actually didn't even think about where it was.
Every state, when it comes to boxing and like MMA, they all have a state athletic commission, and the athletic commission is the one that runs like that. Like they basically sanction the fight and make it an official professional fight. I don't even know if they even tried to have the fight in Las Vegas. I didn't even look this up because like Las Vegas is usually where fights happen.
Yeah.
Like, Tyson fought in Vegas a million times. Tupac Shakur, when he was shot and killed, that was after a Mike Tyson fight. So like Mike Tyson's fought in Vegas forever. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission is like, they're actually serious. So like they're not going to sanction a 58-year-old to fight a 27-year-old. So like I don't know. I just figured that the Texas State Athletic Commission was probably one of the few ones that would actually allow that to happen. Plus, they wanted that to be in a stadium. So, and Vegas, you know, they have one now.
I mean, the amount of people that filled that stadium, more than 2,000.
And it makes sense for Jake Paul to be in Texas.
Yeah.
Makes
well,
more
even
sense.
like the way he came out, like on his car, and like he was getting a lot of boos, obviously, and his brother was there just being like, yeah, or whatever. And I just am like,
that's very boxing though. Like,
but like it's just like maybe it's just because I look at his stupid face and I'm just like, you're so stupid.
He has such a punchable face. Like
boxing is perfect for him.
I know. But I want him, like...
But I think that's so much of the appeal. Like it has to be because he... Like, my main question coming out of this from a sports perspective, like I wouldn't... If you barely even want to call this a sport, I don't really think it was real. It's definitely a performance
to me.
Yeah. I think that's where the line gets blurred, and I think that's why I'm like, if you're Jake Paul, he wants to be taken seriously for boxing, and he does train. Like that, like I get it. Like he trains boxing, but after this, I'm like, there isn't really anything else you can do. Like this was his world title.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Like nobody's gonna be as interested.
That was the lead up to this. It kind of reminds me of who was it that always wanted to race a shark swimming?
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah. Well, and then they did the Shark Week thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of that, where it's like, okay, now what? Like I feel like that was Jake Paul's ultimate goal, was to fight Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
and like
now
you're
he's
right,
gonna fight a shark.
Well, like like they're just,
oh my god, he still somehow beats the shark. The shark's like 69 or whatever, and 58.
And like this is the second Jake Paul fight I think I've seen. I saw another fight where he fought I think a basketball player, and like that one was free because it was during the pandemic. Like I'm not gonna watch any more of these. Like it like
you shouldn't. I don't want him to get any more attention.
But like the thing is,
even though I also
but the thing is, like whatever, like 60. He's never gonna draw 60 million people again because the draw
was Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not Jake Paul. Like it is Jake Paul, but not.
Well, like for perspective, like Jake Paul has done pay-per-view fights where like you have to pay it like for the specific fight in order to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think the most he's done is like 500,000, and he's done that a couple times. Mike Tyson's done over 1.5 million.
Yeah.
6 times in his career.
Yeah.
like that's the draw, and Jake Paul knows that. Yeah. But like it's just now, I guess if you want to keep boxing, that's great, but like maybe you're gonna have to fight like a actual boxer next if anybody cares about that part. I think all the other parts are just
it really did shock me though, his body. I was like, whoa.
He looks like he's on steroids.
He absolutely is, but I just was like so shocked because the last time I'd seen him He's just a skinny...
Was it Bizarre
No, but, like, he did not look like that.
What was his name in that? Dirk Mann, I think.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
I had to look it up.
What was that show? Was it an actual show? Because
So I never watched it.
I had never heard of it other than that Jake Paul was in it.
It was an actual show because Olivia Rodrigo, she was one of the co-stars, I think, in it. But I never watched it. It started in 2016, so like I was long. Like I think we were
a scripted show or like a sketch show.
I've literally no clue. Also, I was gonna say,
I don't know.
I would say Jake Paul is a culture vulture in a different use of that term, in the sense of like he like just preys on the worst part of culture and profits off of it.
He reminds me of like how I feel about JoJo Siwa, where it's like it's that same person. It's like the same thing where it's like kind of want to be taken seriously, but at the same time like they're performance artists. You know what I mean? Like they want any kind of attention.
Yeah.
Well, they're both kind of influencers. Aren't they both like?
They are.
Was she a YouTuber?
Yeah, I mean, she started on reality TV, but
she
then
was on Dance Moms.
Yeah, but then she went into like everything. She was on YouTube. She was on TikTok. She also had a Nickelodeon show. I think got fired from it.
Oh.
Or not fired from it, but Nickelodeon was like, we don't want any part of you.
I actually used to get JoJo Siwa confused with the girl from Lazy Town.
Please don't even.
Do you remember that show?
Yeah, but I don't want the two of them even compared.
I know. I'm just saying, like in my mind, when I didn't
kind
have
of
no
similar,
idea,
though.
long before I
Cake,
knew you.
What's the Cake song?
I don't know.
I've never heard of any of these things. But
never heard of Lazy Town?
No.
He was an adult when we were watching.
I was gonna say I saw
Chris
Mike Tyson fight when he was actually fighting. So I'm ancient.
Chris is 45.
But you good there?
Yeah, I'm googling Lazy Town for you.
It's okay.
Oh, I have seen the pink hair.
Yeah. But
I don't know what it is
Cooking
or
by
what
the
it
book.
does.
What it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he reminds me of that. Like that's what.
But yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to mention about the actual fight, and then I had a bunch of complaints about Netflix.
Yeah,
they were supposed to fight in June originally, and then the fight had to get postponed because Mike Tyson had some kind of medical situation, and they never really disclosed what it was. But then Mike Tyson tweeted after the fight. He said he's like, "This is one of those situations where you lost, but you still won." He said, "I almost died in June. I had 8 blood transfusions. I lost half my blood and 25 pounds in the hospital and had to fight to get healthy, to fight. So I won." Said to have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a stadium is an experience that no man could ask for. So, like...
It's a good...
Yeah, I mean...
I actually like that. He called him talented.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mike Tyson is, like, one of those... He's an incredibly complicated person.
Yeah.
Where, like, not a good person for most of his life. Yeah. But now he's just an old dude.
He's such a public figure. He can't be good or bad. He's just famous.
And he's just so, like, he's clearly not happy, but, like, he tries to get by, and, like, he's just beloved because he was just such a good boxer. He became a heavyweight champion at 20, which is, I know that means nothing to y'all, but that's insane. He's the youngest heavyweight champion ever.
Yeah.
Like, 20 years old.
Also, I was going to say, like, you know, they both promised knockouts before the fight or whatever. But I, like, could tell, like, I don't think Jake Paul was ever going to actually try and, like, knock him out. Because the thing is, like, Jake Paul is extremely problematic. But I think even his PR team was like, hey, this will not go well if you knock out an old man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a bad reflection. Like, unless Mike Tyson comes out and is, like, literally, like, you know, toe-to-toe, like, a fair fight type of thing. Otherwise, like, you could tell, like, he was going kind of easy on him, I think. And I think, like, Mike Tyson was going kind of easy on him because, like, it was just for the spectacle of it.
Well, there's a video of, I don't know if this was actually accurate, but people were saying it looked like Jake Paul was tapping out, like he was, like, telling him to go easy on him.
Oh, really?
He made, like, a face at him or something that was supposedly some kind of tap out. Like,
I believe that.
I don't know if that's true, but
who knows? I mean, Mike Tyson landed some punch in, like, I think it was the second round where I was like, that's a good punch. It's like, but he can't do that again. Like, I was like, if Mike Tyson somehow wins this fight, it has to happen in round 1.
Yeah.
Right.
And once it didn't, it was like, well, that's just like, you know, just law of averages kind of deal.
Yeah.
But, can I complain about Netflix for a little bit?
Go ahead.
So,
go off, King.
So that stream was awful.
Uncomfortable.
It was awful.
They've done a couple of live things. I know y'all probably heard about Love is Blind.
When they did the reunion.
Yeah, when they tried to do the Love is
I
Blind
didn't
live
hear about
reunion.
that.
People were livid.
So this
Really?
I think this was the second event that they did that was live. Like it was a little bit after the Chris Rock special.
Okay.
And the Chris Rock special, like, did you watch it when it was on? Like it was like
Not live.
No, we were at a training in Miami together.
That's when that came out?
Yeah.
I thought you were I could have swore you were upstairs when,
no, because I remember
the whole time you thought Alexa
I thought you
was home.
I thought she fell asleep by the time you went on.
No. I remember because I watched on the news the next morning in the hotel in Miami. I watched like the highlights.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
nice ass hotel we've like ever been to.
Miami. Anyways.
But that one went off fine. There weren't a lot of issues. But the Love Is Blind, I think it was the reunion special. Like,
yeah.
It basically, like, they had to put it out later. Like they billed it as a live special.
Yeah.
And 6.5 million people, I think, tried to view it live. Mm-hmm. And they just could never get it off the ground. And they had to put it out the next day.
That's humiliating.
And
people were pissed.
Yeah.
That's so embarrassing that they still haven't figured that out.
Yeah. And, like, their CEO, which, like, this never happens. Like, their CEO apologized on one of their quarterly earnings calls.
Oh.
Like about the Love Island reunion.
Oh, my God.
And, like, the thing about all this live stuff is, like, the reason that everybody does things live is the reason, like, I work in TV production. Like, the reason why we always want to do things live is, like, that's where the money is. Like, people care about live things, and that's why sports draw so many ratings.
Should we do a live episode?
I mean, if Netflix can't do it, God bless us.
I think we could.
Don't worry. We can
what are the 14 people gonna
I was gonna say,
break the system?
we do live events every week. That's fine. At work, like, it's fine. It's fine as long as you have...
What if we had Mike Tyson on?
I still don't think...
We should not do that live.
Can you imagine?
We shouldn't do that live. You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
But like, everything, like, that's where all the money is. And, like, Netflix is clearly trying to go for that. Like, they've been dipping their toe into sports, and now they have the NFL game.
No money.
Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix is, like, notorious. Like, they don't make a huge profit, actually.
None of the streamers.
That's why they've, like...
Yeah.
But like,
so strict.
but they also make a lot. Like, they're one of those... They're almost like a loss leader to themselves, where, like, they don't need to make money because the amount of money that comes in... It just doesn't matter. Like the books never need to be balanced, really.
Yeah.
But the way that all the streamers are doing it is, like, especially now that sports are in the deal, it's like, it's the ad money.
Yeah.
Like, the reason that Netflix wants to get into sports is because, one, everybody's going to watch it live. Like, the NFL and every sport. Like, sports rate higher than anything else. I want to quiz y'all. I want Molly to do it first because I know you're going to shout out a number.
No, I'm not good at this. I'm also math challenged.
No, it's okay. Like,
I think you would have been better at the stadium guessing. I think anyone in this world would have.
Well, I went and looked up because, like, every year it's always some, like, it's always interesting at the end of the year. They always put out the 100 highest rated episodes of television.
Okay.
And, like, the top 100. Stop looking.
I literally wasn't looking.
She's literally
looking now.
She literally looked toward me and looked away 2 times. She's looking at the paper.
Because I keep forgetting not to look, but I'm not actually looking. I can't see any numbers. I promise.
That makes sense. So Molly, out of the top 100 TV programs that happened last year, how many of them do you think were sports?
Oh, but not just in general?
Yes.
How many?
Yes, out of 100. How many of the top 100 highest rated programs do you think were sports?
Probably like 70.
Guessing in that jar.
What's your guess?
I'm just going for a high number. I think it's like pretty high.
50.
96. Well, that's funny, but literally 96 of the top 100 rated things on television last year were sports.
I won.
What do you win?
Yeah. What does Molly win?
Well, can y'all guess what the highest
rated... An extra helping of the buffalo chicken.
Can you guess what the highest rated non-sporting event was on TV last year?
On TV,
Real Housewives.
What? No.
Sorry.
It's not. No.
I don't know.
Wait, I want to guess. Okay. Of last year, so that'd be 2023.
2023.
Okay, it's probably reality.
It is not. You're gonna have to think a little bit out of the box, but
so it's like probably politics. No,
it was actually last year.
A debate?
No, it was the State of the Union, like last year's State of the Union. But that was the 25th highest rated TV show, and that aired on like 8 different networks. Like the NFL is 93 out of the 100. But like the thing is, like Netflix, to tie it all together, like Netflix, you can't screw this up. Like if you're going to get into the live sports game, which they really want to, like you have to make sure that these Black Friday, like these Christmas games, like air right. You can't have buffering.
I know.
Like the amount of like shit that they got for this is gonna be nothing compared to me on Christmas Day. If I can't watch the Chiefs, it's like Chiefs versus Ravens. It's like good games too. And I'm like,
oh god.
I'm like Netflix, you can't screw this up.
Earlier, Chris said to me, he said, "Did you hear the Beyonce news?" And I said, "No, what?" And he goes, "She's performing at the halftime show on Christmas." And I said, "Oh yeah, I heard about that. Is that big?" And
which is weird for you.
That is like.
I was just like, I mean, it's not the Super Bowl, you know. I'm like, what?
Well, that's why it's huge, though. It's like
like they
Beyonce?
don't. Yeah, like people don't
Beyonce?
get like Beyonce doesn't perform at halftime of a
Kinda
Christmas
funny.
Day game.
Yeah,
but yet she is.
Why wouldn't Taylor Swift perform?
Well, she's a voyeur.
She's a spectator.
She's a fan.
Well, it's also on Netflix, and the game is in Houston, so I think that's part of it. It's like, oh, it's in Houston. We're gonna get Beyonce to perform. Also, you gotta know your audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but what do you guys think is the number one Netflix show? Like,
for a long time, it was Squid Game.
oh yeah,
It's got to be Love is Blind. Like the way people are obsessed with Love is Blind is
I know.
Well, if you're talking like ratings wise, it was Squid Game for a while, and then I think it became Wednesday.
Really?
But Netflix has weird metrics. Like
I know.
they get to report their own numbers. But like I know Squid Game is one of the biggest ones ever.
Yeah, I
Because-
think you're right about that. But
yeah, it's Squid Games
still
and then
Squid Game.
Stranger Things.
I was gonna say Stranger Things
Because
but
that's also like
I'm sure Wednesday is up there. I
it's
didn't
number
think it was-
3, and then Dahmer actually is number 4.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because they do it by hours watched, which is a weird metric to do it by. But
Ooh.
like Squid Game was like.
But that wouldn't be fair for Stranger Things versus like Dahmer.
I think it's like a season, like a specific season of Stranger Things.
Gotcha.
But like I think Squid Game got like 1.6 billion hours or something. And but like that's the other thing with Netflix is like a bunch of sports want Netflix. Netflix wants sports because like Netflix is global. Like they're in 190
right,
countries.
that's
so like
true.
But they have to make sure they don't screw this up. And if they do, everybody's going to be very angry.
How hard is
kind
it
of
to do
I'm
live streaming?
So curious to see how that goes.
Well, I mean, how hard is it to run a Zoom? Like, how hard is it to get on a Zoom meeting and then have your connection work?
And then
You know what I mean? Like,
Think about
like,
how, because they're never prepared for how big it's gonna be.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
And so, like, just like the history of like streaming in sports, like, quick one. Like, Amazon was like the first one to get in big because now they air Thursday Night Football. Like, Thursday Night Football is only on Prime.
Yeah.
And like at the time, that was a massive deal. One, because like all the sports were just always on TV. Like they were never on anywhere else.
Yeah.
But like when NFL was like, all right, we're gonna give you this package because the NFL makes 100. Like out of all their TV deals, they make about $100 billion off of all the TV deals. Like literally, like it's not even like an exaggeration. It's $100 billion. So like they were like, okay, we'll give you the Thursday night game, see how it goes. And the first 2 had a couple of issues, and like whenever it happened, like the first thing I did was go on Twitter, and everybody's just like, "What the hell's happening? Like, what is this shit?" Like, you know, because it's the NFL. It's like you're showing an NFL game,
voice.
and like I'm like, there's 14 million people watching this, and like don't get in the way. Like it doesn't matter who's playing. It could be the crappiest game on earth, but like you can't mess it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like they're working on that now, and also Netflix bought the WWE. Like they have the rights to air WWE next year.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Oh, let's do another game. Guess how much? How much do you all think that Netflix
I'm
paid
not looking at the paper
for 10 years to stream WWE Raw? You know, like WWE has like they have like Raw and SmackDown and like all these different things. Over 10 years, how much do you think they paid total?
for Raw.
Yeah. Alexa's like, well, okay, so it's Raw, so let's subtract about. She's like, well, that's just. She's like, well, The Rock isn't there anymore, so like, it's he's more of a SmackDown guy.
I want Alexa to go first.
Yeah, only for Raw. Yeah, you should go first on this one.
And then
Alexa.
only Alexa, because I don't want to answer.
One for 10 years.
Over 10 years.
One-
total.
Carry the 2.
1 billion.
Okay.
I was actually also going to say 1 billion.
Okay, I'm getting
5 billion.
Okay.
Because like live sports entertainment also kind of like it counts.
I feel like 1 billion is like laughable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
1 billion is just like not a concept of a number to me. Do you know what I mean?
It's
you're
funny.
not Mike Tyson, so
Yeah, it's funny when you talk about money because like sports rights are always just get so insane, where they're like, oh, that they didn't make any money off that deal. It's like $2 billion to air like major league like U.S. soccer on Apple TV. It's just like, oh, that's a horrible deal. It's like it's $2 billion. But that's how everybody makes their money.
Yeah,
I'm in the wrong field.
Yeah, well, hey, come on over. Let's go over to TV.
Oh, I meant sports.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I gotta start stretching now.
So the only other thing I wanted to do with y'all was, so we mentioned that there were 4 non-sporting events.
Yeah.
That were like in the top 100. Can you?
I'm not looking. Sorry.
Can you guess? I'll give you a couple guesses as to.
Please don't say numbers.
What the other 3 were.
4 non-sporting
Okay,
events?
I was
top
actually going to
100.
ask if we could do that.
Yeah.
Of like most popular stream anywhere ever.
No, this is the highest rated. This is the highest rated program.
Alexa's like the most streamed on Paramount Plus.
Highest rated program on television in 2023. It is a list of the top 100.
Okay.
As I said earlier, 96 of them are sports.
And none of them are award shows.
There might be one.
Okay, so like.
So that kind of gives it away.
Okay.
But you got it.
Okay, you go first, Molly.
Number 3. Or 4. Number 3. Oh, okay.
Wait.
I'm trying to think. I was gonna start naming it.
Oh yeah. Just name the show.
Okay,
name the show. The number. We can play that later. But
oh no, I'm not doing.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
I'm just gonna say the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my god. I feel like your competitive spirit is very much like Abby Jacobson in Broad City.
Yeah.
She's like,
Thank you.
I
That was
killed
kind of
someone.
an Abby Jacobson sound.
Yeah.
That's like a compliment, though. I love Abby Jacobson.
Yay.
I feel like I can't think of any other shows ever.
This
That's
last
why I was
one,
like, okay, 2023, like what happened?
This last one might be...
the comedians in cars getting coffee. I feel like that's a weirdly popular thing.
So Alexa,
What? Alexa, first of all, that hasn't been on in like 3 years.
Yeah. I think you are
Wait,
not. I don't know if you're really
such a
getting
parent.
the.
That's such a like mom answer, and I can't explain how.
I don't know what the
Wait,
question
okay, first
is.
of all, I have 2 things to say to that. That show has not been on in like a few years.
It's been a while.
A.
Yeah.
B, that's a Netflix show.
I think my brain is broken. Like, I still am not grasping the concept
Yeah.
of the question.
It ended up on Netflix. It started out on Crackle. So like literally, it was on.
You know,
Crackle.
I still have Crackle on my iPad.
I mean,
What is
I only.
so familiar.
Because I used to watch Ripper Street on there, and I'm worried they're going to take it off Hulu, so I've been keeping
I,
Crackle on there.
I only watch Comedians in Cars. Like it was just a great show.
I didn't know it was on Crackle.
Funny.
So
just go.
I'm trying to figure out how to give you all a hint for the last one.
Love is
I will
Blind.
say that it is an annual event as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are these like annual events?
Think mornings.
Mornings.
I don't really know if that helps.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away.
So not like, but I'm not
This
like a
is
morning
not it,
show.
but the
No,
first
it's not a
thing-
morning show, but it's something that I know we've all watched in our lives.
Oh, the Macy's Day Parade.
Yep. There you go.
Duh.
Oh, she's
I was
back.
gonna say the first
She's
thing that
back.
came to my mind was the White House Easter egg hunt.
Okay, that's not televised.
Like watching it.
No, Alexa, wait. Alexa, do you just watch? Would you really just sit there on the couch and watch the? I would actually.
No, but I
because
feel like people would.
one of my favorite like
I've actually
moments
never seen-
of culture is from the
White House Easter egg.
White House Easter egg
Whoa.
You
hunt.
talking about that frightening?
No,
like
when
rabbit?
when Trump puts a candy bar on top of the minion's head.
Yes.
Oh.
He has his
Yes.
little candy. He has his little bag for candy, and Trump doesn't know what he puts
Yeah.
it on top of his
He-
minion costume.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I think Melania does the same thing.
I've also never
It's-
seen the Macy's Thanksgiving
He
Day
never.
Parade.
What?
What? I was gonna say Trump never
That's
knows
I
what
watch
to do with
it
his hands,
every
but
single year.
you've never. What do you mean you've never
like, maybe
watched
it's
it?
How
like
do
I've
you-
seen like clips from it, but
But-
I've never like.
But like, you remember last
I feel like
year
it's for
that
Broadway
like,
girlies, actually.
well, I think it was last year that like I made a comment to you about how I'm gonna wake up in time to watch the parade.
I watch
and you
it
were,
every year.
And you were like, what?
And then
You were
the
like,
puppy
no, you're
show.
not. You're not gonna get up to watch the parade. And like, I got up for like the last. Like,
Do you not even watch the dog show?
Oh, we do watch the dog show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course they watch.
So yeah, you guys know what household I come from. We don't care about parades. We will die for dogs.
But like you've never. All right. Well, this year I guess we're gonna have to watch it.
I've also never seen like the Snoopy Thanksgiving, Peanuts Thanksgiving.
You know what? The Thanksgiving one is not the
Charlie
best.
Brown. Like she hadn't watched any Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
we like have the vinyl records of the Charlie Brown. I love. Okay, so the Thanksgiving one is not the best. It actually makes me upset because Peppermint Patty is a bitch to Charlie Brown, and it makes me really sad.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll strike that off my list.
No. We're gonna go
still
through
watch
all
it.
of them.
It's still a vibe.
Okay. Well, interesting.
Also, like, it's hilarious because, like, in the Christmas one, like, there's, like, it's, Christmas, and then Snoopy has this, like, subplot of him, like, a World War II fighter.
Yeah, the Red Baron.
Yeah.
It got, okay, right. The amount that I have not seen Peanuts, when Chris and I first, actually it was before we started dating, Chris got me a gift. I thought I opened it. It was a little stuffed.
Oh, no, don't tell her. Don't tell her. It was a little stuffed what?
I said, a stuffed Tweety Bird.
It was a Peanuts character.
What's the name of the character?
Woodstock,
yeah.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I think that's
when
Chris literally goes, I shouldn't have gotten this.
Was it like you're Snoopy and she's Woodstock? Was that what it was?
I don't know why you got it, actually.
It was part of a number of gifts. Yeah. But the main reason I got it is because it was $5. It was a Kohl's Cares.
It was really hard to give Alexa gifts. I feel like
yes, it is.
It is one of the most stressful things.
It's because
I feel like I love so many things.
Not gifts from other people.
I don't really know. I don't really know.
I feel like you guys have always given me good gifts except for Tweety Bird.
I'm glad you think that because I often think I'm like I fail.
Why do you think I end up just getting you a MacBook for Christmas that you're now recording on? Poppin in.
Yeah, because of Chris, this podcast is
podcast is brought to you
because I didn't know what to. I was like, well, I guess I gotta go hard.
I'm gonna get you an iPad next year.
She didn't. Yeah.
I didn't know that about me. I'm like, I am obsessed with so many things.
Yeah, just not the things that we give you.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like, you are to the point though where it's like I know I can't get it for you because, for example, like you're obsessed with Jane Austen, but I'm not gonna get you a Jane Austen thing because it's like you have so much. I know, so I'm like, I can't.
I had to send out a PSA to my friends this year, being like, I love the gifts,
and my family, and my family as well.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
you told his family that?
No.
Oh my God.
It's just like it's the thing that people know. Like growing up, like when I was growing up, everybody was just like, well, Chris likes sports. He likes the Panthers, so we'll just get him a Panthers ornament.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like when I was in college, I really liked Doctor Who, and my family knew that. Everything I opened that year was Doctor Who themed, to the point it was like Doctor Who, like the little TARDIS, the police phone call boxes. They were little lights that you were supposed to hang up in your dorm. And I opened it, I was like, thank you. And in my head, I was like, I will be the biggest loser in this dorm.
The Doctor Who people.
But it is like if you have a lot of things.
You know what I mean? Like that's not what I want the association.
Yeah.
There's we're all like what is it? Pimp My Ride, like exhibits. Like, hey dog, I heard you like.
Yeah. No, the house. What's the house one where they're like, I heard you loved horses, and she's like, right. Yeah, I watched a horse movie one time, and they're like, so we made your entire room.
That's right.
But for me, I feel like you could get me like a billion Succession things, and I'd be like, thanks.
Yeah. I have like a running list. Like the only people I have running lists of gifts for are you and Chris.
Oh my God!
Wow,
I actually keep seeing a gift idea on TikTok that I want to get you so bad. Your birthday is not for like another year.
I'm sorry.
And so, whatever.
Yeah, you can just give me a gift.
No, it has to be, because it's like, it's gonna be a good gift.
Why would we waste a perfectly good birthday gift?
Yeah, just like
I know, that is the hard thing. Like, I've found, like, gifts where I'm like, this would be so good. And then I forget about it when your birthday comes around. And then I remember it again, and I'm like, damn it.
That's fine.
Anyways, I don't know how we got from Mike Tyson and Jake Paul to birthday gifts.
I can't wait to come back on next time we talk about music and or sports.
Yeah.
Sports. Yeah.
All my Grammys thoughts. I was
gonna say the Grammys is the next thing, because I don't know when we're gonna talk about sports next.
They're just a powder keg, just waiting to explode. I can't wait for these takes.
I kind of
let's do it.
I was gonna say, like, what are your thoughts? Like, what are your predictions? I do want to know.
Come on last
I know,
week,
that's why I want to know.
Bailed at the last minute.
What are your predictions?
My predictions, I'm still trying to flesh out, but my main thought is just like the Grammys are going all in at trying to remain relevant, and I think that this is literally the last year that like this like for like literally like for me
of music.
I remember the Grammys used to be like the thing that I was like weirdly obsessed with the Grammys every year. Wanted to see the nominations, watching the show.
Yeah.
I just don't give a shit anymore.
I know.
And like this year, obviously they've made a very concerted effort to like bring me back into the fold by nominating
bring
like
me back. We gotta bring Chris back.
Well, they're like we're gonna give you Charlotte, we're gonna give you Kendrick, we're gonna give you like Sabrina, we're gonna give you all these people, and then we're still gonna give you Taylor, and then like I don't have any predictions yet, but at the end it's just like, well, it seems like all of these artists will just cannibalize each other, and then Taylor wins again. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And which again will just be like, I'll just be like, okay, I'm out. Goodbye. Like this is not. It hasn't been a serious outfit for a long time. Best new artist. Don't even get me started. It pisses me off every year now because they try to like go back and retroactively nominate artists that have been around for 12 years. Like Grande is on there. I'm like I put them on my first.
I was like, I know like Sabrina.
I mean, actually, she has 6 albums.
She has 6 albums. That's what I was saying. I'm like, what?
But like Grande, like literally the first playlist I ever made on Spotify when I got it in 2010 has a Grande song
I was
on
still
it.
on Pandora then.
Like it just, I'm like really best new artist. That's wonderful. But anyway,
I was too. No, I was on my iPod Nano.
I was gonna
downloading
say
songs illegally.
I was on Apple Music too, probably.
Yeah. I made the transition around that time. But yeah, those are my. You'll get the rest of mine. I'm embargoing the rest of mine until we get closer to the date.
Okay.
Do we know when the date is? Just sorry.
I think it's February.
The Grammys should be February. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we'll see you then and not a moment beforehand.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll never talk to Chris again until February.
But thanks for coming on, talking about our fight, thanks for all the guessing games.
Our fight.
Yeah, that was fun. I like a little trivia.
Yeah.
Right.
And as always, like I said earlier, if you made it this far, if you liked what you heard, rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends, and follow us on Instagram at Poppin' Podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.